like, yo, I'm happy to be back here. I've really missed being on this show, again. I'm just ready to just dive into it today, man.
Yeah, man. Listen, we appreciate your once a month visits.
Yes, I ain't got 5 for you, man. I'm getting low on cash, so.
Oh, well,
Yeah, my bad.
like, I left my last $5 over at Sonny's.
I'm gonna say hopefully Santa took care of you this year.
You know Santa got me for Christmas this year?
What's up?
He got me a nice like little Polaroid camera.
Yeah.
They use like they think like those like throwback Polaroid pictures.
Yeah, those are back in style, believe it or not.
No, yeah, and like so like when the first day I had it, I went to the Shake Shack with a couple friends. And I just took pictures of like everything.
Yeah.
Including I found out one of my friends has a bald spot. He's been hiding for so long.
He's getting Kevin Durant on.
Exactly, and I got the Polaroid and I'm like, give me $5. You can have
I mean, at least Kevin Durant is nearly 7 foot with a jump.
And nobody can see it.
Yeah, so I don't think he's fortunate enough for all that.
You think Durant can pull off like a bald look though?
I don't know. I mean, some people don't have a head for it. That's why, me, I couldn't
Steph
do it.
Curry
It'd be
has the head
bad.
for those like weird braids.
It gotta be like your head gotta be rounded if you're gonna go bald.
Like LeBron could pull that off.
I think LeBron could pull it.
And
off.
yet he's too afraid to. He got hair plugs. It has to be that he got hair plugs.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, LeBron could pull off the
Or
Thanos
Rogan.
look.
Yeah, he could do it.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. I don't think Kevin Durant could do it.
Yeah, not a lot of people can.
Yeah, man. That's why I think he's trying to hold on for as much as he can.
I mean, listen, if you got to hold on for dear life, by all means.
Hold on, we hold.
Now, I don't recommend the toupee though.
Oh,
I don't like Nick Wright. I feel like his takes have been so much better since he's got the toupee.
Is that a toupee?
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh.
Bro, his hairline was on like he had like a
Are you
5
sure
head.
that's a toupee?
I promise you, bro. You got to do Nick Wright before the toupee.
Yeah, man.
He's been better since he had it, though. It's giving him powers.
I mean,
Yeah,
not gonna
man.
lie,
So-
he looked like a thumb. I would watch it. That's why I stopped watching.
Honestly, looking at Nick Wright makes you appreciate guys like Jalen Rose.
See?
Yeah, man.
But see, my barber said that's fake, too. Nah, I ain't gonna question my barber. I mean, he do got a lot
I
of
won't
jet
que-
black going.
I won't question mine, unfortunately, especially when it comes to beard treatment, man. I can't do this whole half neck beard look anymore.
Oh, yeah.
It's starting to look like I'm growing a whole nother neck now.
You gotta get it like shaped to where it reaches your line.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's-
if you're a barber out here, I will drive out the hour and a half necessary just to get it trimmed because this isn't working for me.
I got a guy for you. Don't worry about it.
We'll hook up after the.
I got
Listen,
a guy
listen,
for you.
man. Black barber will treat you right.
Facts.
And once you get that relationship, it's never gonna go.
I only
away,
ever
man.
went to Black Barber once in my
See?
life. Then New Brunswick, best experience in my life.
And you know what? That's what you're missing out because every time you get out of a chair from a black barber, you're looking like you're going to prom, and that's sharp.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of that, you guys see that movie Soul?
Yes.
Not yet. I'm watching it this weekend.
Okay.
Yo, absolutely love it. I highly recommend
I
it.
mean, like you say, I get that you say that, but someone said the same thing about Wonder Woman 84.
No,
And
no,
all
no.
credit to that movie that it was. It made me miss the Dolphins Raiders game. I was so mad.
no,
I'm like,
no.
I missed.
We're not misleading you on this.
nah. Especially like from Go ahead, Chris.
No, honestly, I haven't felt anything from a movie like that probably since Inside Out. It's that good.
It's
It's
that
kind of
good.
funny. We were
I'll
talking
hold off
about-
my opinion. I'll hold off for now, but I'll try to get to it this Friday.
Yeah.
Depending on the work that we got lined up, because you know what we doing later this month, man.
Yeah, sorry, we're taking a trip down Mobile,
We
Alabama.
are going. Chris Thomas and I going to the Senior Bowl together.
Y'all
Woo!
road tripping?
We flying.
We're flying, man.
Yeah.
Oh, word?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Straight out of what? Trenton,
Newark.
Newark. Okay.
All right, y'all about to
Oh,
hit the
man.
Clearport. I see
Oh,
y'all.
No, yo, you're so lucky. You get like one of the top running backs, probably in college football on your list. You got Trey Sermon
Yeah.
on your list. I have 2 sorry QBs on mine. Like I picked them because they're big names, but still, it's Ian Book, who's like I don't trust to be more than a 5th round pick, and Kyle Trask, who stock went
No,
down.
like that's why it was funny. Like when you said like on the group chat, it was like I got Kyle Trash. I'm like, wait, don't you mean trash?
That's messed up.
I mean, but it's
I was just making sure that like you ain't disrespect this man.
I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect him. When you throw 3 interceptions in a full game,
Yeah. That's a good opportunity for you to get a chance to use your Polaroid, though.
Oh no, definitely.
You
I'll
gotta,
be making-
like-
I'll be making memories then. My goal is to get a Polaroid with Daniel Jeremiah.
Nice. Do you have an iPhone?
I do.
I was gonna say, if you hold down notes right, it brings up scan, so you can even scan those Polaroids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I,
you
got,
got 'em
I gotta pull
digital,
off the
too.
I gotta pull off the Polaroid shot in the first place. So it's
Yeah.
free.
And we're gonna welcome Avery Collins in the building, man.
What's up?
What's up,
How's
Avery?
everybody doing, man?
Yeah, man. Look, it's
Chillin',
great to
chillin'.
see my former Air It Out brethrens in here today.
Oh yeah, man. Get my
Unfortunately,
tardiness.
I'm not the host
Little
of this
traffic.
show, so I'm not going to be able to keep you two apart this time.
And listen, man, we got 2 hours to argue, man. So,
All right.
All good with me.
and listen, man, you being tardy is nothing new, man. You're tardy all
This is true. This is true. You know, it's just
He's not
traffic.
tardy.
I
He's
live in-
fashionably late.
Yeah,
That's all. You know,
yeah. And listen, speaking of Alabama, you're an Alabama fan.
roll tide.
Yeah, man.
I always forget that.
Yeah, so we might as well get right down to it. We're going to talk a little college football.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. This past weekend, it was the start of the college football playoffs. Alabama facing on Notre Dame, and Clemson Tigers taking on the quote-unquote 11th best team in the country, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And now the national championship on January 11th is going to be Alabama versus Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So initial thoughts on, we'll make this real quick. Avery, your thoughts on the Alabama-Notre Dame game?
I expected nothing less. To be honest, I mean, I felt that Alabama has probably been the best team in college football this year, and not just biased from my fandom, but just from top to bottom. I think they do well on defense. They do well on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a Heisman candidate at receiver and quarterback. And you could make a case for running back as well with Najee Harris. He looks like the second coming of Derrick Henry already. I mean, I don't think he has the feet that Derrick has, but I mean, you can see the power, the skill, different things like that. And then special teams, they look well. I mean, I felt that the only team that would be able to rival them would have been Clemson, but to be honest, I think the loss to Notre Dame and getting Trevor Lawrence out of rhythm, because he was hot prior to the COVID positive testing, and so I think that kind of threw them off rhythm, and that's the reason that they lost to Ohio State. But I expected Alabama to do what they do against Notre Dame. So
Yeah, we're talking about Alabama's offense. They lost their quarterback and their 2 top wide receivers, and Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy to the draft, and their offense looks even better.
Yeah, I mean they're putting up points against anybody with the best. I mean, they rival offenses like Clemson and Florida and Ohio State and different things like that. So they're playing well. So like I said, that was the biggest question mark going into the season for me. If you're playing for Nick Saban defensively, you're going to be sound. Doesn't mean you're always going to be top 5, but you're going to be a sound defensive team if you're playing for Nick Saban. So I figured that much. As far as the offense, like you said, losing Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, I just had questions, and they proved me wrong. And after I saw what the fact that Notre Dame had to go toe to toe with Clemson the first time without Trevor Lawrence, and then they got beat with Trevor Lawrence, I was like, well, there's no hesitation in my mind to think that Notre Dame is going to beat us this time.
Yeah.
And there's that's no disrespect or slight to Notre Dame. They had a phenomenal season. I actually did not expect them to be as good as they were. So shout out to them, but it's been so.
Yeah, I'm just glad we was the 3 seed instead of the 4.
Yeah, because that would have been like I said, I don't see anybody beating Alabama right now. I think Ohio State has the tools and the keys, but I just don't know if I can say that they're ready. Only because Alabama's played more games, they're more proven, they're more tested, and so we'll see.
Yeah, but you can also counter the fact that the lack of games that we've played can also
Keeps you fresh.
Keeps you fresh
For sure.
Trey Sermon's definitely having probably the run of a lifetime. That 200-yard performance breaking Eddie George's
that was phenomenal
record
that was
against
beautiful.
Northwestern, and then him running all over Clemson. And then Justin Fields, I can't say nothing more about this kid. 6 touchdowns. He got
Phenomenal.
that massive hit, in the ribs, and
And that's a scary point for me, because Alabama, they're going to hit you. They're coming at you. If they know this, they're going to hit you. They're going to put the guys up front, and it just I question, can he make it through the game? I'm not questioning his toughness, because we know he's tough. I mean, he came back in that game and played phenomenally. It was like, we're not losing this game to Clemson. So Justin Fields is a phenomenal player. But like I said, I just question if he's going to be able to, withstand all of those hits, through the full game. I think he probably will, because it's the national championship. He's like, you're going to have to break my legs for me to come off the field. But, and even then he might, but I'm not sure. Sermon though, man, that kid, that Northwestern game was, I mean, it was like, I was confused as to whether or not they didn't want to tackle him or they couldn't.
Yeah. And listen, also, I don't think enough has been said. The return of Chris Olave to the offense, definitely like you could tell the trust factor that
Yeah,
Fields
that's a
has
big
with Olave. It makes everybody's job a lot easier. Us getting the tight ends involved in the red zone. The matchup that I'm really worried about, and the reason why I really am not confident going all in on Ohio State is Sean Wade against Devontae Smith. I mean, Sean Wade got picked on all game against Clemson. And the fact that now he's going to be against a much better receiver and in my opinion, much better potent offense in Alabama, that has caused concern for me.
Yeah, I mean, if I was City smart, you bracket that coverage, right? You don't let them be single covered, the entire game. I mean, obviously a couple plays, maybe first, second down, for a couple series. But when it's those money downs, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, but Jalen Waddle's also coming back as well, so that's all another.
I mean, true, but and like I said, I mean, you got to remember, how fresh is he going to be, how in rhythm is he going to be, where's his stamina level going to be at? All of those questions. So you just gotta, like I said, I think you got to take your chances with Waddle over Smith at this point. But with that being said, like I said, these are the reasons I don't see anybody beating Alabama right now is because they have a lot of weapons and they're ground and pound. If they're up late, Najee's getting the ball and who wants to tackle that guy?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, now that we got both fans putting in there and put kind of an outside perspective here. I'm excited for this matchup. First, I just want to say the college football playoffs, like bracket in general, they flawed, to say the least.
You say
it's only 14
You said
allowed.
flawed?
Yeah, I don't like the bracket whatsoever.
I feel like Florida should have been it.
I feel like no offense to Ohio State, man, but 6 games played and then you put 4th overall. I get that the quality of play is different from the rest, but there are other teams that played much longer seasons and have much more results than Ohio State put out.
Yeah,
I.e. Florida. Was it A&M? I think no.
Man, I'm for the small schools, so I'd say Coastal Carolina.
I love Coastal, man. Shout out to Coastal Carolina,
Yeah,
man.
man. So that's what I would have
Phenomenal season.
That might be personal bias because I interviewed like 4 other guys, but at the same time, they were a fantastic team. You saw what they did against Zach Wilson when they went down there. Like, you can't tell me that's not deserving of at least a 5, maybe a 6.
Honestly, I feel like they should, update the college rankings to like at least 18.
At least 18.
Yeah, so like the
18.
winner, winner of like each Power 5, and then like after that, like 3 other guys, like Coastal Carolina.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the Big Dance in basketball. Mm-hmm. Like you can get every single the top from every conference and then put them in, and it works.
Yeah, because at this point, like if you keep going at 4, then like obviously we all know it's going to be Alabama every year. It's going to be Clemson. It's going to be those 3 guys, and then like it's a draw. It's like, is it going to be the
who's
second?
it going to be? Exactly. Who's going to be? It really the question is who's going to be number 4.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be Georgia? Is it going to be Notre Dame? Is it going to be? And that's annoying. I honestly, again, as an Alabama fan, I want to compete against the best, right? And so what was the year? I think it was Washington went undefeated.
Yeah.
And they were constantly saying like they deserved a shot.
Or by UCF.
No, UCF.
No, it was UCF. That's what it was. They deserved a shot, and it was like, why didn't they get the shot? I understand that it seemed like it was a one and done, and obviously, but that year they played phenomenally. They should have gotten a shot at a national championship, honestly, not just a bowl game.
Yeah, and honestly, I can even say it now. Like back in 2016, where Penn State not only beat us, but they also won the Big Ten. But we got into the playoffs instead of them because of strength of schedule, because we beat Oklahoma earlier.
It makes no sense.
Let me circle it back to this matchup specifically. Now, I will say, like, I agree with both of your assessments of both of your teams. I will say though, Alabama's defense is not as scary as it used to be, especially when it came to the final stretch of the last 2 weeks. Against Georgia was 414 yards allowed against JT Daniels, and then when it came up to, let me see if I can pull it up here, the SEC title game with Florida against Kyle Trask, he still went 408, 26 for 40, even though he threw those 3 picks. He still had production.
And so that's like I said, that's the biggest glaring concern. But at the same time, like I said, if you're a Nick Saban defense, you're going to be sound. You've got 2 weeks to prepare. You're going to come into that game ready to play against Ohio State. Now, the issue is, and this is my personal opinion, I believe it's not Sermon. I believe that the wild card is easily Justin Fields. If he's healthy and if he plays like he played against Clemson, he can beat us. I mean, the guy, he showed that he can carry a team.
Yeah.
Now, will that translate to the next level? We'll see. But as of right now, for this one game, I mean, he's shown that he can carry a team. So my question now becomes, can you keep up offensively? Can you score? Because we're going to score points.
I mean,
so can you keep up?
It's Alabama's offense's pick your poison, honestly.
Yeah.
It's Mac Jones and Devontae Smith on the air and Najee Harris on the ground. All 3 of them, a 3-headed monster that we haven't seen in college football. When was the last time we had a big 3 in college football? Honestly, someone remind me because I can't remember. And you can't tell me. And you
man.
can't tell me that T. Higgins, Trevor Lawrence, and
No,
and
they
and
weren't.
and
LSU
and
last year.
Etienne.
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay, LSU
Yeah,
last year.
definitely. It's like
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the way,
Justin Jefferson,
There you
Jamar
go.
Chase,
Yeah.
and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
like the way that these college teams are set up, like they're overloaded. Like, and especially because every year it's the same team. So just like kind of going back to the 4-team playoff, like that's ridiculous. There's so many teams that deserve an opportunity to play for a championship. So y'all say 8, I would say even 16. It's like, what's the point of having a top 25?
They might as well go turn.
No, that's real. That's
Like,
real.
what's the
I've always had that question. I'm like, okay, so you have 25 top teams in the league, but only 4 are allowed to make
And
it.
it's
make
the
a
same
run
4:
to-
LSU,
and-
Alabama, Oklahoma. That's 3.
And the
That's
worst part is
every
this
single
format's
year.
in until 2024.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We still have 4
And-
more years
Yeah,
of this.
and the worst thing is that everybody keeps wondering, why is this guy dropping out of a bowl game? Because it doesn't matter to
Yeah,
them.
it's like
It's
drop
like,
the
what's the
bowl
point of
games.
playing in
Why
like?
am I going to play in another game to risk injury if I'm not going to be able to get the championship ring? I'm not talking
Right.
about a bowl game ring, and not to disrespect any of the bowl games, but there's nothing like a national championship.
Yeah, like-
No.
I mean, think about the NFL. Would you rather win the NFC Championship every year or the Super Bowl?
Right.
You want that Super Bowl ring.
Like in this whole new playoff bracket, like the Rose Bowl used to be something important.
Yes.
Now the Rose Bowl is nothing. The
nothing.
Tostitos
No, Rose
Bowl
I
Bowl
used
was
to
the-
is
love the
nothing.
Rose Bowl.
The Orange Bowl is nothing. All these bowls have zero meaning. So it's like you
I
might as
hated
well
it. I hated it
really
in 2006
expand
though.
the national championship.
Quick picks. Who are you taking
For who?
for the championship?
I'm going Alabama right now. Vegas has them at 7.5. So I'm going Alabama for now, but I did like what I saw from Justin Fields, what he did against Clemson, because I feel like that might have quieted that Trevor Lawrence talk a bit, because I feel like that game was more of a I feel like that game was more of a game for like, all right, who's really going number 1 here? Because for
Yeah.
me, like Trevor Lawrence, to me, he looked a little bit shaky. He was definitely making some bad decisions. Meanwhile, Justin Fields was like, "Hey, we about to get this thing done," and it absolutely showed.
I'm actually.
I would agree if it wasn't for the fact that Trevor Lawrence has lost, 3 games in his college career, and he's got a national championship
Because
already.
these teams are loaded.
So my thing is like, he's got a national championship already. He has 2.
He only lost 2.
He only lost 2
Both.
games.
No.
One was the national championship. The other one was.
They went as
This
far
year,
as
this
back
year.
to high school
To
when
2
they gave
former Ohio
him.
State
He's
quarterbacks.
86 and I think like 3.
Yeah, so
they
my
went
thing is
back to high school.
like he's got all the accolades. I mean, he's a front runner for the Heisman. Like, I just don't. For me, I don't think it's moved the needle enough for me to be like, well, he's not going number 1. I think what it has done is propelled Justin Fields into, okay, he's the best next player on the board.
Yeah,
period.
because a lot of people were talking Zach Wilson.
Exactly. I think he's just
And
the
they
next
still
best player
are.
on
There
the
are
board.
still Jets fans, especially, are still wanting to take Zach Wilson, quote unquote, because he's more fun. You're telling me he's a lot more fun than Justin Fields looks right now? This guy looks like if
Justin-
Russell Wilson and Cam Newton had a baby.
In
It's
a
size
sense.
and speed and agility all in one
Here's
guy.
what Justin Fields reminds me of: a mix between John Salmons and Paul Pierce from the NBA. Like, his game is so methodical. It seems old and not really explosive, but out of nowhere, he's got 60 rushing yards on you. You're like, wait, where did you get 60 rushing yards? It's not always exciting. It's not Lamar Jackson quick twitch. Oh my goodness, he just cut this dude up. He broke his ankles. It's just he slow walks you down the field, and you're like, wait, you have 80 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and your team is up 16 right now. What happened?
And that's why I'm actually taking Ohio State to win this game against
Okay.
Alabama. I'm
Yeah.
pumped for the upset. Mainly because, look, as well valued as Alabama's offense is, that defense is still suspect. And they're allowing 110 rushing yards per game, and you're going up against 2 of the top runners on that team alone in Justin Fields and Trey Sermon. Remember, Sermon, 330 yards against Northwestern, 193 against Clemson. So, and with Justin Fields adding another element to that game, because he's sneaky quick.
Yes.
Like he can escape when he needs to. He doesn't. His first instinct is never to scramble. It's to make room to find space down the field, and he's got the arm to push it down.
Here's the reason I'm taking Alabama, and I would take the over. The reason is Nick Saban is not going to do what Dabo Swinney did. Dabo Swinney was like, we're going to play our defense, and we're going to force Justin Fields to be dynamic. Nick Saban's going to force him to make plays. He's going to force him to make the right read. Like, he's not going to. You might be able to run the ball. You know, that's a weakness of our defense. You might be able to run the ball, but when it comes down to those pressure plays, those 3rd and 8s, you've got to make the right read and the correct throw. I think Nick Saban's going to put that type of pressure on him. It's not just going to be, you know, sit back and pick your poison. It's going to be you've got to make the right read, not a good read, the correct read.
And once again, you're listening to 98.5 WJYM. We're talking national championship between Alabama and Ohio State. If you want to call in, give your opinion, mark that call number.
215-763-9596.
Yeah, and listen, no surprise. I'm going to go with Ohio State. I feel like this reminds me a lot of this 2015 Ohio State team, and I think Trey Sermon is on his Ezekiel Elliott run. Nobody picked Ohio State to win it all back in 2015. And I feel like it's the same thing. Nobody expected this team to be there. They got a lot of disrespect from Clemson and Dabo Swinney. But the way this offense looks, it reminds me of 2015. Only Justin Fields is a lot better than Cardale Jones.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Most definitely.
our offense is good. Chris Olave coming back is a massive.
That's a huge lift.
Yeah. So like especially in Northwestern when he struggled, Trey Sermon now got the confidence now back-to-back good games against top teams like Northwestern and Clemson.
Is Master T coming back or no?
I think he's just riding the bench at this point, riding the hot hand. It kind of sucks. It sucks for the kid, unfortunately. But, it's not just Olave. It's also Garrett Wilson. We also got our 2 tight ends involved. And our front 7 is actually pretty formidable. It's not like years past where it's like we had the Bolster brothers like Chase Young. But, Jonathan Cooper does a good job. Tom Barnley does a really good job as well. So it's going to be a close game. I think whoever gets the ball last is going to win the game.
I'm excited for the QB matchup here. Mac Jones versus Justin Fields, one a former Heisman Trophy nominee, the other a potential winner coming in tonight. Not to mention both potentially first-round picks in this year's draft. And I'm always about the QB battles. I can't wait for those.
Yeah, that's gonna be really, 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 really interesting. I mean, and let's not forget, Alabama's got a corner who's projected to potentially be a first rounder, if not a very early second rounder as well. So that's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be a great matchup. Like I said, I can't wait to see what's gonna transpire. But like I said, I'm gonna roll with my boys and roll Tide.
Yeah, and that concludes our college football edition of.
Oh wait, we forgot to do one more thing. The Heisman talks.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah, that's easily. He's a man amongst boys.
I mean, listen. It's hard to go against that. I think he'll probably win as well. But I mean, like I said, you still can't. Though he lost the game, you can't count out Trevor Lawrence.
I'm just not a fan of Sunshine.
Listen, I understand. I mean,
I'm
a lot of
good
people
off
aren't.
him.
A lot of people are. I mean, you can't count out Justin Fields for beating Sunshine. So, but I think it's a situation where Devontae Smith he's been consistent all year, right? And he's played in so many more games. So, I think he might run away with. Initially after the first 5 games, I thought it was going to be Kyle Trask.
I mean, for me, I want to go with Trevor Lawrence mainly because I feel like we saw what happens to this team without T. Lawrence in the game, and we saw what happened. And the proof was in the pudding when we saw it against Notre Dame.
Yeah,
like they're good, but they can't overcome the hump or make those huge plays down the field. Trevor Lawrence is that difference maker. All the more reason that with Devontae Smith, credit to Devontae Smith and what he's been able to accomplish down in Alabama, but I think it's QB takes it this year. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, it's hard for me to go against Trevor. Like I said, it would be more so fandom bias to say Devontae Smith. And like I said,
he's got the numbers to back it up.
Yeah, true, very true.
20 touchdowns. So.
Yeah.
8 p.m. ESPN.
All right.
We'll see.
And from college football into the next level in which, all these kids are aiming to go for the NFL. And we got a lot of things have been going on in the NFL over the past few days. A few firings. Anthony Lynn has been parted ways with the LA Chargers.
I like how you use parted ways.
Yeah, no, they use fire. I'm saying parted ways.
Yeah, please. And then for Adam Gase, we can say he got fired.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
He got no. He got old school. He got canned.
All right,
got
that doesn't do it justice. You
Yeah,
guys throw it ahead
as well as Doug Moreau as well.
Yeah.
That one
Doug
was-
Moreau. Oh yeah, sorry.
Jacksonville.
For a second, I thought you said
That's
Doug
not a
I thought you said Doug Peterson. For a
It's not a
second.
shock, but I
Sad.
still don't like. I don't like the timing of it.
Oh, Doug Peterson got fired. I'm drinking right now.
I don't like the timing of the Doug Marone one.
I think it was about time. It's been 5 years since he's been down there, and he had his own guys to work with. He didn't inherit anything. He had his own guys. He built the program how he wanted to build it. Not to mention, look, Tom Coughlin didn't do him any favors while
That's
he was
for sure.
down there. He established an authoritarian kind of regime
Which
during his tenure
caused
there.
everybody else to want to get out of there.
You know, I know that.
And so that's why I don't like the timing, because I'm like, it wasn't. He was a good coach. He had that team fighting. I mean, Robinson had 1,000 yards this year. I mean, he had the team fighting. I mean, for me, it was a situation where it was just like, okay, you got rid of the guys who didn't want to be there, and Jalen Ramsey, and Yannick Ngakoue, all of those different things, right? And now you have a chance to let the coach actually truly build the team and bolster that roster. But and obviously with phenomenal cap space, you got the number 1 overall pick. I think they've got 14 in this draft coming up in total. So I just felt like the timing was a little off for me, especially because it wasn't Marone's fault. I think it was more so a Coughlin situation. I think the players were like, this dude is too old school and yada, yada, yada. And he's, that's what Tom Coughlin is. I mean, same reports coming out of New York when he was there. It's like, this guy is tough-nosed, he's hard, yada, yada, but he won 2 Super Bowls. So it's tough.
We keep seeing, these older guards, keep getting all the slack, and then eventually just couldn't rephrase. We saw it with Jeff Fisher, and now we saw it with Tom Coughlin.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I think, John Gruden is eventually going to wear out his welcome as well.
He can't. He's under contract for another 7 years.
Yeah.
He's got a nice hefty.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they can cut him, and you'd be like, well, cool.
But that's the thing.
I'm gonna go back to Monday night and still get paid from you.
But I think it's going to happen mainly because the Raiders, even though it's a slow progression, have improved year upon year that Gruden's been there.
Yeah.
It's just the late season collapses are
I
falling
think
on him
that-
too easily.
Yeah,
It's only been
it's
2 years, right?
Yeah.
No, 3.
3 already? Wow,
Yeah,
that's fast.
I think it's because I was a fan of the guy, but I think it's time to move on from Derek Carr. I think he's the reason that they're being held back.
Yeah.
I like Derek Carr, and
I
I
don't see
don't.
that because he's
Me
also
neither.
the reason for their success.
And so here's my issue with that. It cannot be. He's not the type of quarterback that you can put a team on his shoulders. Like, in my opinion.
But when you give up somebody like Amari Cooper and Henry Ruggs doesn't pan out to be what he's supposed
Not to
to
mention
be,
that defense is
Well,
not helping
see,
either.
well,
and like every other
so
draft they left.
That
like, all they got is that running game, and
So-
thank God for that.
So, yeah, true.
Even
So
Darren Waller has
so
been
my
some
thing is,
blessing.
my thing is,
if only the Raiders had a legitimate pass rusher.
Oh,
Like,
I wonder where he's
all-pro
at.
pass
I
rusher.
think he's in Chicago right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, getting ready to play the
Which
Saints.
also, I just want to say this real quick. Chicago did not deserve a playoff spot.
Yeah.
I never thought they did.
told you.
It was, hey, listen, it don't matter. Once you're in, you're in.
I told you. I had a weird
Yeah.
feeling. I said, listen,
And
man.
then it's
And you have
first and
one-
done.
Yeah,
First and done.
listen, blame the Cardinals for
I mean-
fumbling that spot.
If Chicago doesn't deserve a spot, Washington doesn't deserve a spot.
No one in the NFC East
Nobody.
deserves a spot.
I don't like it. I like this idea though. If you make the playoffs as a division leader with a losing record, cool, fine. But you don't get to host a playoff game. That's just, to me, I don't feel like that's fair.
I mean, even if that's the case, you should have the away team with the 11-5 record should have no problem beating you.
Yeah, like
Also true, but it's just like
we saw
Not to mention,
come on, man.
not to mention, Washington's not going to have any fans, so there's really no home field advantage to begin with.
it's not. I mean, that's.
it's
I mean,
not, but still, it's like, come on, man.
I
Like,
disagree.
a losing record?
I'll save my prediction for that later.
The only thing I'll say is you got to get something for winning your division. It's unfortunate that the NFC East was just
NFC
abysmal.
Get a playoff bonus, and
this
that's
year.
it, man.
But
Fuck
that's the reason for winning the division. You still get that home field,
Listen,
even
listen,
though
man, listen,
2020
for
means
anything else, man. Listen, shout out to Ron Rivera and Alex Smith.
Oh, for
They
sure.
got- They
Without
have
question.
been through the absolute.
Without
ringer.
question.
If anything, those guys is
And
phenomenal.
to be honest, I'll say their story is beautiful. There's a
Oh,
football
yes.
team with no name. You've got a coach recovering from cancer. You've got Alex Smith recovering from his one leg. It's a beautiful story. So, of
Really
course
is.
they made the
I have a
playoffs.
question.
But they're about to get smoked.
Let's say the Washington football team
Well, Devin
wins
White's
it
not
all,
playing, so-
wins it all.
What, like the Super Bowl? Or
Yeah,
the
the Super Bowl. If they win it all, does Dwayne Haskins get a ring?
He does.
First
He
off,
does actually.
He does.
First off, this is irrelevant
Okay,
because we
another
know that's
question.
not happening.
Does he deserve one?
We know that's
Does
not
he deserve one?
I mean,
Absolutely not. But
I mean, he started a few games, but no.
He started them. How many did he win? Is what I'd like to know. Just
one, I believe.
I
Yeah,
think
I
so.
think one.
One. The first one. It was against. Well, we all know who that was.
Yeah.
Against.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Which was the snowball that started the avalanche.
Yeah.
Listen. If they were with the Super Bowl, I mean, I think it might be the greatest football story in the last
They'll make a movie
10,
out of
20
it.
years.
They'd be like the 2019 Tennessee Titans, a Cinderella story like no.
Except they actually
I don't
finished
even.
the job.
I think
Nah,
it would be a better story. This tops
Bro,
that.
this is like
easily.
this is like the
once in a
miracle,
lifetime.
like U.S.
Right.
versus Russia
Exactly.
No,
type.
this is Rudy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
this
big
is
time.
one
It's
of
Rocky-
those
no, it's
stories,
Rocky's
man.
It's Rocky Four.
This is one of those stories.
But out of all the vacancy jobs right now, what do you think which one is the most desirable?
It's up in the air for me. So I think it's between three teams.
Yeah.
In no particular order, I would say Jacksonville.
Okay.
Obviously, like I said, you got the number 1 overall pick. You got 14 draft picks this year. You got over $100 million in cap space, right? So it's in Florida. You know, it's not like it's in a destination where it's going to be freezing
No
all
state
year
tax.
round, or no tax. It's going to be that's a prime destination. I think the only deterrent for any player, maybe even coaches, is Coughlin, right? I think that would be.
Coughlin's
Coughlin's
Oh,
gone.
he's
now.
going?
He's been gone for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah. Yeah, but the owner did come out saying that, like, regardless of who's going to be the general manager who takes the job, he's still going to have final say on decisions.
Okay. And I would say number 2, Atlanta, only because of the talent, right? And it's still in the South. You get to play in the Dome, different things like that. You got a lot of talent on that team on both sides of the ball. I mean, the young on defense. You get the game plan for Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Hayden Hurst.
I think I disagree with you on Atlanta over there, honestly, because you still have 2 bloated contracts with Julio and Matt Ryan. Who
Again,
Julio might be getting his way out the door.
Because like I said, financially, no, you don't want to go there. But I'm talking about just from a talent standpoint. It's like, oh man, I would love to call plays.
And to throw that in, they get the 4th pick.
Right, and they get the 4th overall. It's like,
question.
Oh yeah, I would love
Let's
to.
just say miraculously, the Jets still aren't sold on Trevor Lawrence, and they go Zach Wilson instead, or they trade out of that spot, and Justin Fields is on the board. Are you taking him, or are you taking like a Patrick Surtain Jr.?
It might be Patrick.
No, can't do
might
that.
be.
Can't do that. I actually got that on
here's
draft. Can't do
it
that.
It might be. Like I said, it might be. It depends on what they feel from AJ Terrell. I felt like AJ Terrell had a phenomenal year. I felt like he should have been in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm not saying he should win, but he should definitely be a candidate. He played phenomenally on the defense where he was not expected. I mean, Jeff Okudah was expected to be the guy, right? And AJ Terrell was the next corner off the board, and they were like, "Who is this guy? Why would you?" And he played very well. So I feel like AJ Terrell, if they feel like he's going,
I thought Jabron Kinlaw would have been there for you.
Me too, but it is what it is. But I feel like if they feel like we've got our guy in AJ Terrell, then yes, you go Justin Fields without question. Only because Matt Ryan's getting older. You see the transition of the type of quarterback in the NFL now. All of those, and he's proven that he can play on the biggest stage. It's not like he's a slouch. So of course, and the best part is, though Matt Ryan is getting older, he's not out the league yet. He can still train him up. You can get him 2-3 more years. Such and such.
That kind of quarterback.
Of course, Matt Ryan is without question a team player. I mean, that's all the reports out of the locker room. I haven't heard it, but according to certain sources, he said, "Yeah, I don't mind training a quarterback. I don't want to not retire a Falcon, but if they bring in a quarterback, I'm going to be a teammate to that quarterback. Okay. I'm still going to compete for the starting job." So in my opinion, like I said, if they feel like AJ Terrell is that guy, then yes, Justin Fields. If not, then I would say Surtain.
I mean, you need 2 starting corners in the league, so I don't think just AJ Terrell alone.
And so Isaiah Oliver, Kendall Sheffield, there's still question marks with those guys. And Arthur Blank has already come out and said that they're not going to be able to keep a lot of the veterans. I don't see either DeMonte Casey or Ricardo Allen are gone. So you've got to make sure, like you said, that you have a corner that can make up for the fact that you're going to lose one of those safeties, potentially both. Are we going to re-sign Keanu Neal coming off of 2 major injuries? He played phenomenal this year, but are we going to re-sign him? So there's so many different questions that I have. I think, like I said, defensively is our weak area. I don't think the talent on the offensive side of the ball is the issue. It was the coordinator, right? I think it was Dirk Cutter. I think Dirk Cutter was horrible.
So that way, who do you come in to, take it all over then?
As far as offense,
Head coach.
Head coach.
head coach, it's between three people. I would like Bieniemy. I would love him because offensively, you saw what he's done. in
Give him
Kansas
that
City.
Atlanta offense.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
I would be ecstatic with that. I would be ecstatic with the Bills offensive coordinator.
Brian Dabble.
Yeah, I would love to see him come in there as well. That would be phenomenal. And I wouldn't mind Salah either because he's good defensively, and I could see what he's done in San Francisco with the type of defense where it's like we're fast on the outside, but we're big and we're beefy on the inside, so we can. I really thought that their defensive line was going to be crap without DeForest. They played pretty well.
Not to mention Salah's charismatic.
They played,
and Bolton towards ACL.
Exactly. So and they played fairly well. I mean, he's an energy guy. So those are my top three candidates.
But defensive
right
coaches can go one of two ways.
Exactly.
They can go either the Bill Belichick way, which is like you analyze an offense from the defensive perspective and then use that into your own offense.
And Mike Vrabel.
And Mike Vrabel. Or you can go the
our former head coach.
Yeah, the Dan Quinn approach, which is it's my system. Let the offense take care of itself, and I'll try to pigeonhole everyone in there, and it's a slippery slope.
Here's my issue: whatever coach we get, I would want Arthur Blank to say this: do not try to recreate what you had with your other team, because that's what Dan Quinn's problem was. You were trying to recreate what you had in Seattle, and it didn't work. You didn't have a Cam Chancellor. You never had a Richard Sherman. We never had an Earl Thomas. Nobody on our defense was that type of caliber player. The closest that we got was replicating Cam Chancellor with Keanu Neal, and he's not as good as Cam Chancellor.
So let me ask this question with that. Because most of these coaches who come in are going to essentially try to do what they did at their previous location. Mm-hmm. So if you're Atlanta, why don't you just go completely, if that's your mindset, why don't you go completely fresh and go college?
Is there anyone in college?
Only reason I would say possibly if you go college because you get a guy like Justin Fields with that number 4 pick and all those weapons that they have, that could be something really dynamic.
Ryan Day, maybe.
It definitely could be something dynamic. I wouldn't be opposed to it. However, history has shown us that typically college coaches who come up to the NFL don't translate to especially their first time. They don't do well. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not always a guarantee, but history has shown that more often than not, guys who come up from the college ranks to the NFL, especially the first time, they don't typically do well.
Chip Kelly pulled it off.
Yeah, like to be honest, there's two extremes. There's either like the Pete
Carroll, his first time was not good.
Yeah, then he ran it back.
So, like I said, that's what I'm saying. The first time.
Here's something though. I want y'all to think about this. I want y'all to think about the direction that the NFL is going, especially with how quarterbacks are and how the NFL is pretty much almost a knockoff version of college football right now. And just for your point, for Chip Kelly, he had Michael Vick. So you already know what type of game is coming in. You got
he had Michael Vick, and then he bounced him from Nick Foles, who was much more of a pocket passer.
But I'm just saying in the beginning, you had a mobile quarterback, so of course, like now Chip Kelly's offense is absolutely outstanding. Next thing you know, it's like, all right, well, it looks very terrible with Nick Foles and DeMarco Murray because it's not the same pieces. Yeah, it's like not the same pieces that you had prior to that. So that's why I feel like it's actually not far-fetched to go for a college.
Like I said, I wouldn't say far-fetched at all.
Chip Kelly's main issue was that I don't think it was coaching. It was the fact that he got say on his personnel.
Yeah, he had too much say.
Yeah, so you traded away a guy like LaShawn McCoy who's perfect for your system, and you bring it in a DeMarco Murray, and you try to run him the same way you try to do LaShawn McCoy.
Doesn't
then
work.
You got rid of Deshaun Jackson.
Does not work.
You got rid of Deshaun Jackson. You let Jeremy Maclin walk, and you didn't replace him adequately. You got Nelson Aguilar and Jordan Matthews on the outside, and the more power you got to say how you want your roster constructed. Listen, for a guy like that, just coach.
Yeah.
Don't have no personnel say.
And then another thing with that is just going back to that Chip Kelly situation. It's like if you get a DeMarco Murray, use him right. I don't approve of that. Use him right.
He's got 1,200 yards one season, and then barely breaks 1,000 the next.
Yeah, now he's splitting carries with Ryan Matthews.
Now he's out of the league.
So,
fast.
To be honest with Atlanta, honestly, head coach is not my biggest concern because I wouldn't be mad with Raheem Morris coming back. I honestly wouldn't be mad with that. My biggest concern is GM. But And just moving to my third team, that's a very, very prime destination in my opinion. The Chargers. I feel like that is a fun. Not like if Derwin James can stay healthy, like I will listen. I mean, that defense is going to play well. In my opinion, they got a young quarterback. And Justin Herbert, he's
top 5 pick.
He's phenomenal.
Mhm.
I mean, Austin Eckler's under contract. I mean, listen to me. That's the team right there. That's a phenomenal. Like I said, and you're playing
Just not
in a destination where it's nice out there. It's
Yeah,
not like it's, you know.
Yeah, the one thing that you do, and I think it's a little minor, is that Hunter Henry's going to be a free agent. You got to like fight for him to get back.
Makes Avery made me really sad. You didn't include my New York Jets in that pick of discussion whatsoever.
I'm sorry. Why? I need
I'm about to build it.
Please.
Just a second. Just say how you made me feel, man. And
I'm sorry, Juan. Forgive me.
You made me sad.
Forgive me.
But let me put this one. Why New York is such an attractive place to be. Number one, great media market for one, so you can really get a good amount of attention and branding rights going right there as a head coach. You come in as a savior, especially one that the CEO type, which the Jets are looking for. You're well revered in the New York media, and you have nothing but good press going for you for the rest of the way there. Number two, you have $72 million worth in cap space to work with. You have money that you can use to spend for this team, so you know so you can build it in a way that you know it's right. Number three, the quarterback situation is a conundrum. Yes, I'll say that with pride. It is a conundrum. Sam Darnold, not the guy. It took me a while to finally accept that, but he is not the guy over there in New York. He has to be sent away to Eagles.
Garrett finally got to you saying about being the next draft.
I don't think he's the problem.
No,
I don't think
he may not be the problem, but he's not the solution either.
Okay,
all right, because Sam Darnold, I'll take a page out of the Daniel Jeremiah book of QB scouting. He is a trailer, not a truck. He needs people to carry him. He can't carry people. So that's why the Jets need a playmaker at quarterback in order to actually, have a chance to succeed. Because think about it, the Cardinals, when they had Josh Rosen with them, he would need to be carried, and Arizona couldn't accept that. And Kyler Murray, a dude who was mobile in the pocket, could improvise really well in a situation, was available number one overall. You had to take it.
Didn't get a fair shake. I forget the trash roll. But yeah, I think.
In any case, Sam Darnold, again, not more of a tractor of a quarterback than a trailer. So with that being said, you want to bring in someone like Justin Fields, someone who has great mobility, a great sense of being able to escape a bad pocket, because let's be honest, that offensive line of the New York Jets won't be fixed in a year. It'll take time to build a solid O-line over there. Not to mention, you also have a pretty decent defense to work with over there. It may be missing a few pieces, but it got some good blue chips working over there, especially in the secondary. Marcus May, Bryce Hall at corner, doing a good job.
Did one of your best defensive players opt out because of COVID?
Yeah, that's him, C.J. Mosley as a middle linebacker. And yeah, we traded Avery Williamson because he was aging, but with C.J. coming back next year, could shore up the middle of the line right there. Even though he's not a great coverage linebacker, he's still a really good pass rusher, and that's what they've just been missing for a long time over there.
Look, I mean, I get all those things, but to me, it's not enough for me to be like, yeah, that's a destination. The only thing that you said in there that I'm like, I like that, are the draft pick position and the cap space.
That's it.
And honestly, that's all a coach really needs, though, because if you have a good enough coach, one that's a CEO type that can come in, all he needs is draft picks to build the base that he needs. And good free agents.
So who's the right head coach for the Jets then?
For me,
that's a major question.
I have three names in mind that I'll bring in. Number one on my list is Brian Dable from the Buffalo Bills, because of the work that he's been able to pull off with Josh Allen. They always say that the number one thing you can never teach a quarterback is accuracy. That's dead wrong, because Josh Allen went from 58.
That's all mechanics.
Exactly, but like, he went from 58.9% accuracy completion in 2019 to 69% this year. And
that's huge.
Not to mention, he's been able to use Allen in so many creative ways. Not just in the pocket. Oh yeah, Stephon Diggs helps a lot too. But
even with that, as good as Stephon Diggs is, you got to have somebody throwing him the ball.
Yes.
To me, I'm sorry. Because
And,
I did
and
not
Josh is
expect the
that
numbers.
dude. And Josh is that
Stephon
dude.
Diggs.
No,
And-
he
and-
is. I give.
And he was put in a
One
great
of my favorite
situation,
players.
and for a guy like Dable to develop Josh Allen to the guy that he is, no one expected Josh Allen to rise to the level of talent that he is, and now we're talking about him to be an MVP candidate this year.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
All right, because I like what you said about Gable, right?
Dable.
Dable, my bad. So say hypothetically,
Clark
right?
Gable.
You trade that number 2 pick. Now you're addressing the issues on your offensive line. Now you're addressing, maybe you're finding that wide receiver that can help out Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you pull the trigger on Sam Darnold too soon, because his play type is not too far from Josh Allen. So you pair up that head coach with Justin
like
Fields,
he's in my
you
brain.
might not get the same thing.
But are we watching the same guy? That's what I'm trying to ask you. Have you seen Sam Darnold play over
I haven't
over this
seen
season?
him with a true
You've seen
opportunity.
exactly. You got to remember this.
He
This
was
guy,
the
Sam
guy
Darnold,
coming in.
They let go of his head coach and Todd Bowles that I believe was going to be a great coach in New York, and then they bring in who? Adam stinking Gase.
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
To me, is again, like I said, Sam Darnold's not a problem. Like you said,
But here's
maybe
the
he's
thing,
not a
though.
solution. But you listen, like I said before, you trade that
You
pick
got to trade that pick.
and you
yeah.
bolster the offensive line.
Yep.
You get him a receiver. If you're saying, okay, so here's the thing. If you're saying
The coach.
that Denzel Mims is that guy, right? So you make him the essentially the Julio Jones, right? The guy that runs the crossing routes, the dig routes, the different things like that. Then get him a speedster because you don't have one of those. Get him a Henry Ruggs. Get him a Tyreek Hill. Somebody who's going to take the top off that allows for Denzel Mims to do all the things. Maybe get him a tight end. Somebody who's going to be his
Kyle Pitts.
safety.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? His safety
Safety
blanket.
But a great
Listen,
quarterback
man.
doesn't need that much. A great quarterback can do
Name
without that much.
name
Name
one
Jets don't
have
quarterback
that much to
that's
work
not
with,
an
though.
anomaly. That's not an anomaly that needs that.
Yeah.
I would like to say Kyler Murray.
DeAndre Hopkins didn't.
In 2019, Kyler was still pretty damn good.
He wasn't bad, but he had Larry Fitzgerald, and potentially a top
Christian
3
Kirk.
all-time receiver. Like, what are we talking about?
This is-
David Johnson was still on that team.
Yeah, it's not like
He was
the
still a
NBA.
threat.
Like
Yeah.
you need more parts.
And who did
To
they?
make it
Then they had
successful.
the tight end who had that phenomenal year that year. Oh God,
I forgot.
I can't remember his name. It's
Yeah,
off
but
the top of my
you
head.
got to look at rookie wide receivers. Look at
And he's
Joe.
mobile.
Look at Joe Burrow. They didn't trade AJ Green. You got Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins came along as well. And you got Joe Mixon, when he was on the field.
Yes.
Giovanni Bernard's a really good third down running back.
Yeah.
And then you go over to LA with the Chargers. Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams. This is your deep threat.
Yeah.
I mean,
Austin
Indiana-
Eckler.
But what are the chances that you're going to hit all check marks with all of those positions, especially when it's the Jets, when it's
So,
a history
so
of
think
having
of
him
it-
something-
so-
and that's,
like I
and
said,
that's why
and
it's
that's
called
why-
a draft.
Exactly, and that's why having the draft position that you have is so phenomenal because you
Yeah.
trade out of that. You can easily take because Kyle Pitts, as good as he is he a first round draft pick? Yes, if your team needs a
Not
tight
at the
end,
second overall, though.
and not if you don't need it, but the Jets need one. So you can actually make a case for trading out of that, getting maybe 2 or 3 first round picks now the later in the draft. Drafting him in the first round, drafting an offensive lineman in the first round, drafting a speedster wide receiver in the first round.
Yeah.
The rest of your picks can now be focused on offensive line and defense.
And think about what you can get back in return.
But with the Sam
for that
Darnold,
pick.
especially when I've been
You
watching
get a
him,
third
that
round running
confidence,
back.
no, Sam Darnold's that confidence on the field, it doesn't work in New York anymore.
I look
man.
at it
I don't
like-
see it. Look, like when watching him play, especially like
Because
I
his
know
coach
he's
was
a
Adam
risk taker.
Gase.
His coach was Adam Gase, sure.
I mean,
But
look
even
at
a
Ryan
quarterback,
I
Tannehill
wasn't
now.
even a quarterback is
either.
supposed to trust his instincts on the field, and the way that he was coached by Adam Gase, I think those instincts are shot. He needs a new system in somewhere else, out of New York.
I would agree. I agree.
I
If
agree.
it
Change
wasn't
of scenery is
for-
always good for a young player.
I
especially.
agree. I would agree only if it wasn't Adam Gase. That's the only. I know that sounds like I'm really bashing it. He was horrible.
And
It
I
was horrible. Look, Adam Gase. I read this great article from Connor Hughes of the Athletic, where he broke down essentially no one hated Gase on the team. No one hated him, but he was never the kind of guy that compromised in his scheme. He always thought that his plan, his scheme, was always the right one, and that he always just needed to teach his guys how to run the scheme the
And
right
that's the
way.
fastest
The
way
only
to figure
issue,
it out.
defense has figured it out like that.
Now here's another a case study for you, a piece of evidence, right? Baker Mayfield,
Mhm.
right? You look at what was happening there. He didn't need to change the scenery. He needed a new coach.
Trying to
It's
tell-
as simple as that. And sometimes that's all it takes. Even from my personal experience,
Right
when
now,
I was
Baker
playing,
Mayfield,
go
though,
back
you
on-
can't ever shoot down his confidence. What makes Baker
I mean,
Mayfield
yeah,
so great
yeah.
is his confidence.
This is
Sam
true.
Darnold, I just being in New York for so long, I think his confidence got shattered. I think it's a lot like the
It's
Mark
a potential.
Sanchez. I think it's like the Mark Sanchez situation. Sanchez wasn't a great prospect coming in, but
Nah,
he still led
but
this team
Darnold
to
has way more
the AFC
talent than
championship.
Mark
Way more.
Sanchez.
Wait,
Way more talent.
Way
than
Mark Sanchez had more talent than
Nah,
around him.
bro.
No, sorry, I
Nah,
meant like
bro.
talent.
Sanchez
to the
had
Oh,
level.
yeah, more talent.
Yeah,
Around him.
talent
Yeah.
around him.
And so that's what we're saying. Build the talent around Sam, because he's like I said, Sam is. And we said this on the Aired Out podcast before. Sam and what's his name, Daniel Jones. They both have these moments in every single game that they play where you're like, wow.
All right, we got a caller. 98.5 WJYN. Who's this?
This is Bill Gluckman.
Hey, Bill. What's going on?
Not much, just enjoying this world we live in where the Giants didn't make the playoffs.
What's going on, Freeman?
Sorry, Bill.
I mean, there's a lot of debates right now on if what we did was ethical. Let's put it that way. I'm for it.
I have
What?
so much to
This
say
is
about that.
Philly. We tanked to get Embiid Simmons. We can't do it in football.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, I have absolutely no problem with this. You are a division rival. I don't care. I don't want you to win. Oh yeah. Well, Washington's a division rival too. Yeah, but if we're going to be honest, right? Alex Smith is probably
Nobody cares about Washington.
exactly like as good as
Nobody cares.
as good as their defensive line is. There's still holes. Alex Smith is good, but
Not
you know
great.
he's not great, and he's probably one of his best out of the league. He's on the tail end of his career, so Washington
Yeah.
isn't going to be formidable. You know who is in the next couple of years? New York, because they still got Saquon Barkley. They got a young Daniel Jones. They're building a
Yeah.
team, and their defense. I do not want the Giants to get any type of confidence going into the next season. Absolutely not.
Joe
I
Judge
just
is
don't
calm.
like
Joe Judge.
Giants fans. So I've never met a Washington Redskins fan in my life. So I felt like I was hurting no one. So yeah,
I have
why
no problem.
why would I
with
go beat those guys? Let
it. You're a
them enjoy.
division rival.
I look at it like this. First off, it was absolutely despicable because that was a game that we could have won. Number one, we were up by 3 in the fourth quarter. Now, just from a
Down by
competitive,
3.
oh yeah, I'm
Down
sorry,
by-
down
down by
three.
three.
Just from a competitor standpoint, though, at the end of the day, we want to see more from Jalen Hurts. So you pull
Yeah.
him to see Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah.
That makes absolutely no
As
sense.
a competitor,
And,
that's
we had
and
that
another
mixed up
thing,
for 3
and
years.
another thing that makes me so frustrated with us new Philadelphia fans, I can't even say us because I'm not a part of that because I want winning. I am tired of people making it okay to lose because the Sixers did it. The Sixers still haven't done anything to this day. I don't care that we got Joel Embiid. I don't care that we got Ben Simmons. We haven't won or done anything since 1983. So who's to say that works? The fact that we went on national television and lost on purpose is absolutely unacceptable.
I was
asked
gonna
to
say
be on
now-
national television.
Now the
It's
competitor,
unacceptable.
the competitor
this
in me.
guy over here. Somebody had a Red Bull before this. First of all, I don't care that we did it on national TV. It could have been in front of 6 people. It could have been in front of 6 billion. I don't care. It could have been in front of the whole universe. We didn't need to win that game. I would have preferred to see more Jalen Hurts, but no, I would also like this team to get better in the future. And yes, I know Howie Roseman is the guy who would be using this draft, but
Exactly.
don't have a lot of faith in that.
He's
I
definitely
said it a year
he's a
before.
chance he could strike out on
I
this.
said it a year before. I'm saying it this year. What is the point of going if we're just going to get curb stomped in the process?
Agreed.
If Washington wants to go there, they're yelling, "We want Brady." Go ahead, have your chance. It might work out for you.
But also, yeah,
As a competitor, I agree with you. I hated it as a competitor, right? As a player, like a former player, I'm like that's corny. Like I would be pissed. I would be pissed off too.
Yeah.
But as
So
a
was every player who was on those terrible tanking teams in
right,
basketball.
but as an objective fan, listen, if my team did that, I'd be pissed initially. I'd be like from a competitive standpoint, but at the same time, it was like I don't like the Saints. I'm okay.
Not to sound like Stone Cold, but the bottom line, that's all that matters here. When is it not about the bottom line? Bottom line is we weren't going to the playoffs. What was the point of winning this game?
This is
Yeah, well,
this
that's
is
the
what
thing,
they
like,
That's how I felt about the
No,
Falcons
no,
last year when they play themselves out of a top 10 pick. I was like, really?
But that's the
What
thing.
was the point?
Teams and coaches and players don't care about the fans' feelings about draft position or what the front office.
And also,
They care about the product on the field. They care about winning.
Yeah.
and also, it's kind of hypocritical because the Giants fans wanted to, lose the last game so they could be in the Chase Young sweepstakes, and now all of a sudden there's an issue.
You were all sitting
And
there a year ago.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden we're ruining the integrity of the game because we didn't go all out to try to win the game. Meanwhile, you got
First of all, nobody has integrity. Let's.
So here's the other thing. You play that game. You're not making the playoffs. You're eliminated from
we
the
only have
playoffs.
three legit.
Jalen Hurts goes out and tears his ACL in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Then what?
Now you got an RG3 on your hands.
This is what they should have did. If they were going to openly just tank in front of our eyes, going on every
We only had
fourth
four
down.
original starters in the game.
No, but if this is what they should have did, they should have just straight up said like, all right, Nate Sudfeld's our starter. Like then you got no question because it's like, all right, like the approach was just completely sloppy.
Nah, I agree with
Like
that.
it was terribly
The
sloppy.
most was everything I wanted. I didn't want it. I would not have turned that game on if Jalen Hurts did not play. If he did not play, I'm not turning. In fact, when Sudfeld came out, I was like, oh, I see what we're doing here. Turned it off.
Yeah,
At least I got a half that I enjoyed.
I turned it off when it was fourth and goal from
Yeah.
the 4-yard line, and we went for it instead of
Yeah.
tying up the game.
Oh, I,
I said, I was like, wow, so y'all just going to tank in front of my face like this? Like I knew when I seen that all the starters weren't playing. I'm like, okay, they're really trying to throw this one, but make it a little competitive.
I feel like
It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful and it's disrespectful and it's unacceptable. I'm tired of this losing on purpose and wishing in the draft. Like, stop.
Okay, all I'm saying is that in this draft, the significance from having a number 6 pick from potentially getting like a Devontae Smith or a Jamar Chase, you're not going to get that same leeway if you're number 9.
Well,
Which is fair.
The Eagles have a tendency to pass up on top
but-
receivers.
yeah,
you know? Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, but listen,
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I know, but like
that's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying the higher the pick, the
the
higher the pick, the less probability you can to mess it up. Because the last time Howie Roseman had 2 top 10 picks, it was Carson Wentz and Lane Johnson. Yeah, both Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
I'll
see.
take that chance.
We shall see.
I guess we're gonna see.
Yeah. Anyway, Freeman, thanks for calling in. Unless you got anything else to say.
I just want to say Sixers are looking good right now.
Yeah.
Number 1 rate defense. My Hawks, pretty good. And the Timberwolves are as terrible as always.
Heat
but
Nation.
Cat's gone, so what are we going to do? I also want to say RIP MF Doom. That's about
Facts.
Absolutely, man. Freeman, thanks for the call, man. Take it easy.
it. No problem.
Once again, you're listening to 98.5 WJYN, the Running Back Radio Show. If you want to call in the discussion, Mark, give that call number.
215-763-9596.
And if anybody wants to call in to talk Mark off the ledge, then you're more than welcome to.
I'm not even on the ledge. It was just
No,
like
I respect that
like-
passion. That to me, that's a fan. See,
Yeah.
like because initially, like growing up, one of the reasons I could not stand the Eagles was because of the Philadelphia Eagles fans. It wasn't just the organization; it was the fans. But those type of fans, those are the fans that I'm like, see, that's fandom, that's passion, that's what they're talking about when they Philly fans are passionate and yeah, not throwing beers at people and yeah, it's that right there. That right there, I can respect.
it was just tough to watch. Like I knew going in,
Listen,
but just don't do it in our
No, you know
face
what's
like
worse?
that.
The NFL flexed that game into prime time.
Yeah,
It shouldn't
like,
have.
we
yeah,
didn't ask
that
that.
was-
Like
that
Brendan
was
says, you
wild.
could have flexed, the Rams and the Cardinals game, in which no matter what, there's a
They
playoff.
should have.
Yeah,
Honestly,
should've.
they should have flexed
Tennessee and no, who did Tennessee play?
Houston.
Houston.
That
that
should've
would've
been a
been
nice
that would've been a good one.
Browns Steelers would have been a better flex.
Yeah, even with Rudolph. huh?
Definitely.
But just to play devil's advocate, Steelers basically did the same thing, but they did it right. They already said, hey, Mason Rudolph is playing,
Yeah.
so just giving you guys a
I
heads
saw-
up.
I mean,
I
but,
saw
at
a
the,
post-
but
I
at the
saw a
same
post-
time, Doug Peterson said before, we might get Nate Sudfeld some reps during the
I
game.
saw James Harrison said that Tomlin should win Coach of the Year. He said, name a coach that got two teams to the playoffs this year. That ever got 2 teams to the playoffs. I said, that's funny. I said, that is hilarious.
Yeah. But speaking of the playoffs, the playoffs start, this weekend. It's a new format, so we get 3 playoff games for both Saturday and Sunday.
Lit.
I'm actually looking forward to it.
I can't wait.
And,
Don't call me. I'm on the playoffs.
like, listen, from 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock, don't bother me.
Don't bother me. I'm not picking up.
Yeah. And Might as well get down to our picks. So, want to read off the first game?
Well, I don't have the schedules for it, but I just have NFC, AFC.
Okay.
NFC, we got the Bears versus Saints. We got Rams versus Seahawks, and we got Buccaneers versus the football team.
So what are we talking about first? Which one?
Let's go the fifth and the fourth seed first, and so that might be the most competitive one that we might have.
Don't let those numbers. Don't let those numbers.
I mean,
That is not
hold
gonna
on.
be-
Let's give Washington the fair due that it deserves at the very least.
Listen, seeding
Okay?
doesn't matter. Listen, styles make fights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Washington's not scoring more than 17 points. Why are we
That
talking
may
about
be
that?
the
I
case,
mean,
but
hey, listen. Devin White's not playing.
There's a chance Mike Evans might not too.
There's a chance Mike Evans might not.
They got Antonio
Not to
Brown,
mention-
who's
not
much
to
better
mention,
than Mike Evans.
that-
always
that-
has been.
that Washington
Ooh,
defense
I don't know
is
about that.
nasty. All right, 4 first-round picks on the defensive line alone. A very underrated secondary to boot. And what happens when you put pressure on Tom Brady's face? He fails.
Yeah.
And he
Does he?
throws erratically.
I mean, he has.
I mean,
Nah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Again, remember the Saints had
Does
a top 5 unit going into that Monday night game, and Tom Brady didn't even threw 3 picks in that game.
You
The
get Tom off the
Rams
spot.
number 1 defense with pressure and Aaron Donald on
And we
there.
also
He
need
still gets pressure.
And we also need
throws
to
the ball
remind
erratically.
ourselves the reason why Pittsburgh didn't go undefeated was because of the football team.
Exactly. So like don't discount the Washington football team despite what the record
they're dogs.
may say.
And on top of the fact they're playing hard for their coach.
Yeah.
Exactly. And everyone always says whenever a 7-9 team makes the playoffs, they are absolutely guaranteed a playoff win. Because if you really think about it, 2013,
Seahawks.
the Carolina Panthers came in 7-8-1, and they won a playoff game. I forget who it was against, but they won.
The Arizona Cardinals.
The Arizona Cardinals.
Seahawks and Saints.
But,
we all remember
all right,
week
He's
one.
waiting.
We know that, but did they face a high-powered offense like this?
No.
Who's not a real number 5 seed?
No.
They did.
Like, come on, don't
This
do
is
that. They're not-
However,
I don't see it
even
happening.
as a how high powered that offense is, they start slow.
They
All
do.
season they have started. So I mean, there's no reason Atlanta should have been in that game at the last game of the season.
But
There's
it's-
And that's been
it's
the main,
Atlanta,
it's a
that's been the-
rivalry game and all those different things.
and that's
But
been the major
come
question
on.
for Tampa Bay all year. It's like, what is their identity?
What happens in the playoffs when you get behind and you have a slow start and that defensive line gets the tee off because they know you got it.
And that's another thing to your point, Mark. Like, yeah,
That's
they may
gonna
not
be-
have faced any like high-powered offense in the regular season, but once the playoffs start, season's
That's all-
at the door.
That's
No,
all out the
but
window.
I-
And not to mention, they have the offense that can grind out 6-minute drives. You got a really good duo running
Yeah.
back and Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick.
Who's my pick for rookie of the year?
Yeah, Logan Thomas is having a career year. Former quarterback, converted side of receiver. You have a deep threat, Terry McLaurin.
I
So
don't,
their
I don't
offense-
trust their offense at all.
I really honestly don't trust their offense either.
Yeah,
That's why I'm hanging my hat on the defensive
Like,
side.
I mean-
I know their defense is very strong. Like, their defensive line is fantastic.
Listen.
I understand it, and they can get after Tom Brady. But is their offense going to put up the points or the defense?
I think the offense can put up the points that it needs to get up against Tom Brady simply because Alex Smith, when he's coming into the playoffs, I think he will perform pretty well. This is his last chance for anything,
I mean,
so
especially
you're
coming off that
17
broken
points.
leg.
Here's your 17 points.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's say they get 17 points. Let's say at the end of the first half, it's 17-3.
I'll even give one of them a strip fumble in that 17.
I'm just saying. At that point, it's just like again, you're allowing Chase Young and Montez Sweat and Kerrigan and all those guys just kind of tee off on Tom Brady because
Deron
they've
Payne,
got
Jonathan Allen.
they've got to drop
and
back and throw the ball. I don't know.
What's the old
They can sneak it
what's the
out.
old adage? Offense wins games, defense wins
Defense wins
championships.
Listen, if Tampa comes out and establish the run and then get the pass going, that'd be
But
fine.
who's your runner?
With
Who's
all
your
that
runner?
said, with all that said, I'm picking Tampa to win.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a no-brainer.
I'm picking Tampa to win.
Yeah,
But
I've been picking
I'm
upsets
just
all
not
day.
gonna
I'm
count
taking
out
Washington for the upset.
Nah,
No,
I'm good on
I'm going Washington too. Listen,
So for the win,
yes, for the win. Listen,
you just
Oh,
like Tom Brady.
No,
supposed to
not
start.
only that. Not only that. Where's Super Bowl this year?
It don't matter. Ain't
Yeah,
no
it
fan.
does. matter. Where is it?
my God.
In Tampa.
Okay.
When was the last time a team hosted the Super Bowl in their
We're
own
not talking
territory?
about them getting to the Super Bowl. We're
Yeah,
talking about
I'm
beating the
talking about-
Washington
I'm just
football
saying
team.
though. I don't think I'm just saying. I don't
let me
think
just,
Tampa
let me
makes
just
it past
remind
the
you
first
the
round.
last time Tampa Bay faced an offense that has nothing to write home about. Thursday night against Chicago Bears. That all Chicago had to do was get 20 points. and they held that offense to 16, 17 points.
And
Listen, Washington could definitely do that. They got the running backs to do it.
Y'all
got
are
the-
prisoners of the moment. Just
Listen,
because you saw what Washington did the past couple weeks and they got high at the good time, can't knock them. Can't knock them
for a guy who won
whatsoever.
the Super Bowl
But-
with
Listen,
a backup
listen,
quarterback, you sure hate the underdog quite a bit here.
Listen,
No, I'm just realistic.
No, listen. Football.
Let's
Listen,
not-
basketball.
again, and I love Alex
Picking
Smith.
upsets in football is way different than basketball because basketball you got to do it 4 out of 7 times in the
Of course.
player. All you got to do is be good for. All you got to do is be better for that team for one game for 60 minutes.
I don't trust the football.
I think they can pull it off.
Yeah, I think they can. Like if they beat the Bucks, I'm not going to be surprised. Like I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, an upset. I'm going to be like, okay, that I could have seen that, but I just don't foresee it. So I'm picking the Bucks.
So we're 2-2 in this one. Let's
Okay.
go into Seahawks Rams next.
Is Jared Goff playing?
I don't
That's a
think
good
so.
question.
I think.
Seattle.
See, here's the thing. Jared Goff.
Hey man, that boy was balling last time. You know what I'm saying?
What's the name of the quarterback for the Rams right now? John Wolford.
Wolford.
And he was a AAF star.
Listen, man,
For
you balling
Arizona
out there. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds like you're going
When
right.
he went for that
No,
first
no,
down,
no,
took
no,
that
no.
shot, I was like, yeah, he's
Now, here's the thing. Like, there are two versions of the Rams that could show up here in this matchup. The first version is what happened when the Seahawks met them the first time, which was an absolute blowout, not blowout, an absolute disaster for Russell Wilson.
Which
and that
basically
offense.
knocked him out of the MVP race.
Exactly. Like you said it yourself, Avery, that like with guys like DK Metcalf and
Jalen Ramsey.
Tyler Lockett,
Lockett.
like they're great receivers, but against like top tier corners, a la Jalen Ramsey, they shut down and nothing happens. And Russell Wilson against that vaunted front seven that Los Angeles has, when he's under pressure and he tries to escape, there's just nowhere to run for him there, especially with that horrid offensive line. Now, when the Seahawks met them again for the second time, it was a completely different story.
You also got to remember
The
that Chris
Seahawks-
Carson wasn't healthy during the first game.
Exactly.
Right.
And I also the second thing is since week 10, the Seahawks has the second-rate defense in the league.
Yes.
Right. Prior to that, they were horrible.
They were on
giving
pace
up-
for being one of
They
the
have the
worst.
second-ranked
But
defense in the
historically-
league.
Who was that?
They're second in sacks and they're fifth, I believe, in rushing yards.
Right.
So
And
they're
who was
not
the defender there that was the difference maker? Jamal Adams, who is now questionable going in with a shoulder injury.
agreed, but at
He'll
the
be
same
fine.
time, he's not going to miss that game. And
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, but
honestly, I don't see Jared Goff missing this game. Like I understand, I think they're going to do something, give him a shot in the thumb or something. But I think he plays in this game. But I still think I think I'm leaning toward the Seahawks only because I think in the playoffs you've got to be able to run the ball, and I don't see the Rams running game as an extreme threat. We're seeing a lot of
It definitely dropped off from like
supplemental.
the first
It's
6
a lot
to
of
7 weeks.
supplemental plays to supplement the run game, screens and drag routes and Robert Woods on sweeps and different things like that. It's not really just going to line up and run the ball and be physical with you guys. And I think the Seahawks do that better. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a tough fought game. But I
it's a
think
divisional game. So
exactly. So I think the Seahawks are going to eat this one out, especially if Russell has the ball.
I'm going with the Seahawks too, and mainly because like even if Jared Goff comes into there, you got to understand that offense doesn't work unless Jared Goff is at his 100%. Because
Jared
one
Goff
thing that
is-
Goff is actually good at, he's accurate with the ball. He's actually accurate
when
with
his
the ball.
mechanics are on point and he's
He's
flowing and he's in
top
time.
guy for sure.
It's like you're like this dude is a top 5 quarterback. I mean, he can throw 4 or 5 touchdowns, no picture. Like this dude is, and then when he's off, he's the new age Tony Romo. When he's hot, you're terrified. When he's cold, you're like, oh, man, okay, there it is.
Man, there's something
Yes.
about those quarterbacks in that draft.
And not well, I mean that but like another thing, but with the Rams defense, it's confusing to me though because they're still a
Yeah.
top unit. All right, Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald are still forces to be reckoned with on that defense. But
in my
there's-
opinion, two of the best of the two best of their positions.
absolutely.
Oh,
But like,
absolutely.
can Seahawk with all the firepower that they have still compete? That's what I want to see. That's the only battle I'm concerned with. The
I will say
Rams
this.
defense against the Seattle offense.
DK Metcalf better show up.
He
He
has
better
to.
show up
He has
against
to.
Jalen Ramsey. Otherwise, I don't want to hear any more talk about him being a top 5 receiver.
The thing is, you have to
Being
fight.
better than Calvin.
There has to be
Remember
a-
that discussion.
Yeah,
You also have to find a
I would take Calvin.
I mean,
right
you
now.
don't stop the talks. You just got to pay respect to Jalen Ramsey.
I mean, yes, but at the
That's
same
how I
time,
look at
it's
it.
not just Jalen Ramsey. It's Patrick Peterson. It's
Patrick
it's
Peterson?
like look at so he had 2 catches for
Oh, I thought
28
you
yards.
thought you were
against
saying like
Patrick
Peterson
No.
was on the Rams for
Yeah,
a
2
second.
We're
catches
talking-
for 28 yards against Patrick Peterson the first time. The second
Yeah.
time, 3 catches for 34. against Jalen Ramsey, 2 catches for 26 yards. That's not good enough to be a top 5. You're not holding Julio to 2 catches, 28 yards, Patrick Peterson. You're not doing that.
We're talking about, people who are already trying
You're not
to
holding
ascend
Devontae Adams to that,
DK
that
Metcalf
type of
in that
number.
top 5
You're not.
conversation. No, he's
No.
not. No, you got Devontae
The
Adams,
thing, with a
Tariq
guy
Hill,
like DK, if he's covered by the number 1 corner all game,
the Tyler Lockett.
you have so many other weapons to throw it to.
Yeah,
you got Tyler Lockett, you got David Moore.
You would think
Even
Tyler-
the running backs could just still
In the
work
first
together.
game against the Cardinals, what happened? Tyler Lockett went off 3 touchdowns over
Jacob
200 yards.
Hollister.
But with the Rams, though, like against the Rams, is there enough defense? Is there enough defensive people in the secondary to try to
I
cover
don't
guys
listen.
like
That
Tyler
second
Lockett,
corner,
David Moore,
I can't remember Davis.
John
or something.
Johnson?
The second corner for the Rams.
Oh, no.
Is it Davis or something like that? He is nice.
Yeah.
He can ball. Like the
But
the
can you
type of
cover a
picks that he
speedster like by Tyler
I
Lockett?
don't-
That's what
I
I'm
don't-
saying.
Yeah.
cover. He's more of a. He reminds me a little bit of Asante Samuel, where it's like he's not going to cover you man, but he'll make a play and get a timely pick.
Yeah.
The mix between like Asante Samuel and Marcus Peters.
And last but certainly not least, the Saints and the Bears.
This one should be quick.
So a little bit of a spoiler alert for Throwback Thursdays this week. We're actually doing a Chicago Bear that Inside the Hash just interviewed, and I remember writing this line for the script saying that like this is a low key revenge game for Chicago because they got beaten in an overtime game week 8 against the Saints back in Soldier Field, but that was with Nick Foles under center. Now with Mitch Trubisky going in, and not in Soldier Field this time, but at the Superdome
With no fans.
with no fans, it's going to be an interesting battle right there. It's a low-key interesting battle because, Trubisky has been a little bit on fire over these past couple of weeks.
Yeah, the
Against
offense is definitely
Yeah,
taking off. They've averaged, I think, like 30 points before the last time.
Montgomery's been
David
playing
Montgomery
crazy.
has shown what I've been telling people. I'm like, listen, if you get this offensive line,
And a bunch-
Allen Robinson
really good.
is
Allen
definitely
Robinson
earning that wide receiver
And the funny-
money.
Easily.
Deserves a
And you
new
want to know the
contract.
reason why? Matt Nagy gave up the play calling the bill this year.
Exactly. And that was the biggest key for me. That was the biggest key for me. So right now, I can't. To me, it's honestly a toss-up, right? Like I know that the Saints are the Saints and everything like that, but to me, it's a toss-up only because that defense of the Bears plays very, very well.
Physically,
I mean, you got Kyle Fuller, you've got Khalil Mack, you've got all.
Akeem Hicks.
I think that their defense can match up with their offense pretty well. And as long as Mitchell Trubisky doesn't turn the ball over, but it's the
That's
Saints.
a lot to ask.
And that's what I was about to get to. The Saints defense, though. Their defense has been playing phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Marshawn has been playing out of his mind. Cam has been playing out of his mind. So to me, I think I'm going to have to stick with the Saints here and just go with the easy pick.
I'm going with the Saints, and I'm saying that this is going to be a win on the back of Alvin Kamara.
Agreed.
Honestly,
If he
like,
plays.
if he plays, but he won't
He'll
play.
play.
He'll have a chance to play definitely in a playoff game where like they don't want to be one and done again like they were last year. Kamara's playing in, especially coming off that 6 touchdown performance against the Vikings 2 weeks ago.
Man,
Like I get that was like the Vikings defense wasn't up to par, up to snuff with that kind of stuff, but also was coached by Mike Zimmer, who
Listen,
is
6
a review-
touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. I don't care who it is.
Exactly.
If
And-
it was that simple, everybody be doing it.
But now you're going up against Chuck Pagano and the Bears defense. I don't know if Kamara will have the same production that he had against the Vikings, but I think he'll at least hit 2 touchdowns on the ground, maybe 1 through the air.
I'm going to go Saints in a close one.
it's a lot.
Michael Thomas is coming off injury. Alvin Kamara's coming off COVID. And Drew Brees he's been unimpressive for me all year. So I think
He's on his way out.
Yeah, so
Yeah, there's rumored this might be his last year.
yeah, so
It wouldn't shock me.
it wouldn't be honestly, it wouldn't be surprising if Chicago starts off with the lead and the Saints eventually take it. I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people expect. Like I said, I don't believe that Chicago should be in the playoffs at all. But once you're in, and you want to show out. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go Saints as well, but I look at it like this. We already know what you're going to get from Kamara, but I think to kind of keep them off balance, we're going to see a little bit more Taysom Hill, believe it or not. A little bit more stuff to kind of – because they don't – with Michael Thomas not playing, they don't have as many weapons as they traditionally had. So you might have to jump into your bag of tricks just a bit to just kind of keep it off balance.
Yeah,
so
I think-
there's going to be some Taysom Hill definitely in there, sprinkled in.
I think the wild card in this game, it's going to sound funny,
No pun intended.
but I think the wild card in this game is Drew Brees.
Yeah,
Drew Brees has to play well.
yeah.
because remember last year Drew Brees didn't play well. The only reason why that game was even closer was because of, funny enough, Taysom Hill.
And that's why I'm saying that. Like, they're going to have to sprinkle them in.
He's got to play well.
Now, I want to ask one thing. Packers are sitting pretty with the number 1 seed right now. They're taking a break.
Yeah.
Out of all these 6 teams that we're looking at, who do you think is like the one team the Packers don't want to meet in the divisional round? We'll go down the list again. The Bears, the Saints, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Bucks, the football team.
Honestly, I would say
between
Seattle.
I would say between the Seahawks and the Saints,
Yeah.
and it's because their defenses are just
But if the
this is
Seahawks,
really good.
yeah, but if the Seahawks and the Saints both win, those two will face off. So it'll just be those two beating each other. So out of all the teams that you could possibly face,
You're going to say Washington because I know you're just so done with Tampa.
Honestly, it could be Washington. I mean, look at what the 49ers did last year against the Packers.
Yeah.
With their it was just the front four. Their offensive, like the Packers' offensive line, just could not do anything with them.
Yeah.
Now their offensive line has gotten a lot better this year, and they've got a better running game this year. But even still, like I said, Washington's that front four is no joke.
listen, because going up to Lambeau and
But their offense to me is sketchy. The Saints and the Seahawks, they can actually put up points.
yeah,
So
going
that's why I was saying
trying to go up to Lambeau, especially in those conditions to beat Green Bay in January, that's a tough task for anybody.
Yeah.
But think about it, David Bakari, their left tackle's out, so having a team with like a going at pass rush like Washington or even Tampa Bay and what they did, earlier in the season, that's probably something that Aaron Rodgers and company is probably going to be.
I was going to say, is there
for.
any doubt in anyone's mind here that Green Bay should go to the Super Bowl?
No.
Is there any doubt? Because
No,
I'm just looking at the squad, and in years past, the NFC was the more competitive conference in the NFL. It doesn't look like that this year.
Yeah, no.
Because the road to the Super Bowl runs through Green Bay, and you are not getting past a really mad Aaron Rodgers when going in.
Yeah, to be
Me
honest,
right now, like I said, honestly, it's because they have that number one seed. Like, if it was New Orleans with the number one seed, then I would say, okay, it's literally between those two. But right now, because they have that number one seed, I think I gotta agree that I don't see a team right now that's again now. Their defense to me is still suspect. It's got holes. So
Very suspect.
and so that's my concern. But and so, like I said, that's why if there was a team, I probably would pick the Saints because their defense is phenomenal.
Mhm.
You still got Drew Brees back there. You got Alvin Kamara. You got all those different things. So if there was a team that I would say, it would be the Saints. But I right now, the Packers Aaron Rodgers is playing.
honestly, I pick Seattle.
Yeah, I'm Seattle all day.
Yeah,
for
because
this
I
one.
don't trust the Saints outside in the cold. They don't know what it's like to
Right.
play in
This
those
is true.
conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara has no idea of playing those conditions. And we already seen, Drew Brees, especially with his declining play, having to go out in those conditions to try to throw a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Packers, and more importantly, the Packers are probably this is the most well-rounded team I think Aaron Rodgers has played on, probably since the last time they won a Super Bowl. The run game is definitely there with Aaron Jones, and now you added, sprinkling Jamal Williams.
Not to mention you have a shutdown corner.
Yeah,
Jair
you got a
Alexander,
legitimate shutdown
great
corner.
pass rushing skills right there. I
Yeah.
hate that they lost Blake Martinez to the Giants. He was a good, solid
Yeah.
middle linebacker, but still.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say on this one, because I know, Chris is a big Aaron Rodgers guy. I know that. Throughout the season, their only convincing wins, in my opinion, from 13-3, right?
Yes.
Their only convincing wins were against the Saints and Tennessee. So I know that there's going to be no fans. So going up in the elements at Lambeau is going to play a big factor. So I think people need to think more of like the elements because fans aren't going to be an issue. Right? Ain't no cheeseheads going to be popping off or anything like that. But I do agree with you when you say Seattle. I feel like Seattle is the only team on this list that could possibly come up there and challenge them and possibly win the game. But other than that, I don't truly sit here and think that Green Bay is untouchable. I don't think they are untouchable.
You're right, because remember in 2011, Green Bay went 15-1. Aaron Rodgers had his first MVP season, 45 touchdowns that year, and they got kicked out in the divisional round
Yeah,
with the
absolutely.
New York Giants at Lambeau in the snow.
That's what I'm saying.
In the end, it's not about the best team. It's about who's hot at the right time. But right now, it's the Packers who's hot at the right time.
Yeah, no, they are. They
Hey,
are hot for
that week could throw them off too.
And we're talking about the NFC a lot. Let's move over to the AFC now.
Absolutely.
And we got great matchups in the AFC.
Yeah.
Man. Not as great as it is in the NFC. Oh no, it's better in the AFC than the NFC. Is what I'm trying to say here. And I don't know which one to go into first, but I'll just pick it out. Browns versus Steelers.
Before we go into that, tell the listeners where they can find us. One more time.
You're listening to 98.5 WJYN. You're listening to the Running Back Sports Show, Sports for the Culture. Chris Thomas, Mark Thompson, special guests Avery Collins and Juan. And also you can listen to us too on UptownRadioPhilly.org and on YouTube on Running Back Sports Show. Mark, you want to give that call number for anybody to join the discussion?
215-763-9596.
We're discussing NFL playoffs, and later on, we're going to be talking a little NBA action as well.
And so yeah, first game that I think we should all break down is the one that had the breaking news today: Steelers-Browns. Browns not having head coach Kevin Stefanski, center Joe Patonio, and 2 other significant players, and coaching staff members on that sideline because of COVID and close contact tracing.
That's a tough
The
loss.
Browns can't catch a break.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
tough.
I swear,
Jeez.
I've been on their back all year. I told everybody they were going to be a playoff team, and
Yeah,
now,
that was a hot take.
yeah, I have Kevin Stefanski as coach of the year, but unfortunately now,
Really?
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski is coach of the year.
Yes.
That's not a bad pick.
Not my pick. Put that in the combined article we're working on.
Yeah.
That's not bad, but you know.
Yeah.
I've got 2 other coaches ahead of him, but I feel you.
Okay, agree to disagree. But listen, but with Stefanski now being out, and now their offensive line, which is probably one of the best in the league in terms of both run and pass blocking, I'm gonna go Pittsburgh. The game's in Heinz Field, and Pittsburgh they didn't even put on their Sunday best against Cleveland, and they barely edged out a win.
Don't rock with Pittsburgh now after you've been dogging them for weeks.
Listen, they're still overrated to me, but. In these circumstances now, especially with Cleveland having to deal with now all these COVID cases,
Yeah.
it's kind of tough for me to continue to back
And then
Cleveland.
it's only Tuesday. Like, who knows what other news is going to break between now and when the game actually happens.
So we're also talking about the same Cleveland team, Thursday breaking news, they lost their entire wide receiver core due to COVID before the Jets. So I don't know what's going on in the water over there in Cleveland, man.
I just think it's just terrible timing.
Yeah.
And it's no one's fault that this
Who do you
happened.
got,
I just want to
Juan?
make this very clear that this happened. I just feel bad. This is a snake bit franchise. And I know coming
In
from
the
a
worst
snake bit
way, yeah.
franchise.
It's
Yeah.
tough.
So it's really painful. Looking at this, and I don't like the Steelers one bit, honestly. As a fan in general, I never liked the Steelers.
Oh wow.
This is personal.
I was gonna say that's I've
personal
run
for
into that more often than not. You either you're okay with the Steelers or you hate them.
Well, for me, it's personal for 2 reasons. Number one, it's Big Ben, just to kind of things I can't talk about on air
I got you.
with Big Ben. I
Got
don't like him for that reason. That's one.
Understood.
And the second reason is because when they kicked the Jets out of the Super Bowl
I know what's
contention
coming.
in 2010,
Yeah.
that was when I was like, you know what? I will never like this team ever in my life, and I've stuck to that conviction
Understood.
ever since.
Understood.
With that being said, though, I do think Pittsburgh comes out with the win here, because aside from missing, a good chunk of people to COVID, there's no Denzel Ward. You don't have a shutdown corner to go up against it. And the Steelers, their passing game has been phenomenal over the past couple of weeks. They've
Yes.
found the groove that they've been missing.
Still
And-
can't believe they figured out how to throw deep.
and
I didn't think it would happen.
Shout out to Chase Claypool.
and they found that passing game again. Ben Roethlisberger found the rhythm with his wide receivers. Deontay Johnson, especially, who was dropping everything like he was Eric Ebron, who happens also to be on the
Or
same
Marquise Hollywood Brown.
team. Or Marquise Brown.
Shady.
Shout out Darren Braxton. But
Hashtag 350.
Hashtag 350. But yeah, I'm going with the Steelers here because as much as I love that vaunted front seven, you're also missing Olivier Vernon to an Achilles injury. He's done for the year. The shutdown corner is gone, and that Steelers defense is just ultimate. I don't even know what to say. They're so good.
And there's way too much evidence over the season that you could pass on this Cleveland defense with no problem at all.
You can, and you can
And
also if you disrupt the timing of Baker Mayfield even the slightest bit, he won't deliver.
And they arguably got the defensive player of the year in TJ Watt.
Yeah.
He's
So,
not my defensive player of the year, and that's not out of bias. I just don't think
I think it is. It's out of bias.
No, for me, if it was out of bias, I wouldn't have my pick, which is Miami's Xavier Howard.
That's real.
Yeah.
Listen.
You got to make it to the
This
Dansby
game-
Awards.
This game is tough for me, man.
So that's
Because
Lamar
as
Jackson.
all right, so as good as the Steelers' offense is starting to play, they're getting the ball down the field and all those different things, right? As good as their defense has been playing the last, I would say, 3 weeks, I mean, they're still losing some games, and it's because of one big glaring issue on that defense.
Bud Dupree.
They cannot stop anybody from running the football. And that's what the Browns do. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And you're talking about slowing the game down in the playoffs as it always does. And the way Baker, his confidence level is extremely high right now. Like he's on 10. He's just like, I'm going to
He got
throw
5-9.
3-4 touchdowns, and
We're
gonna rock out, right?
Yeah.
I'm torn, man. I have a weird feeling that it's going to be Cleveland. I want to pick the Steelers, right? Like my head is like the smart pick is to pick the Steelers.
Yeah.
But there's something in my heart right now that's just like, yo, Cleveland, this is your first time in the playoffs since what, 2002?
Yes, 18 years.
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like it's I'm gonna go out on a limb here and I'm gonna call the upset. And I'm gonna give it to the Browns. I think it's gonna be a very, very close game, but I'm gonna give it to the Browns.
And breaking news, we have 15. The NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame has their finalists.
Alrighty.
Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson, Calvin Johnson, Jared Allen, Reggie Wayne, Torrey Big Game Hope, Leroy Butler, John Lynch, Rondé Barber, Richard Seymour, Zach Thomas, Clay Matthews Jr., Alex Faneca, Tony
Bostic.
Bostic, and Sam Mills.
Alan Faneca should definitely
Wait, Torrey
get it.
Holt just now getting in?
Well, he
he's
was on the
been a
ballot. He
runner-up.
was on the ballot.
Jeez, he was the man.
Or runner-up, that's right.
Yeah.
Listen, I think Alan Faneca should easily be in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Peyton Manning's going to be a first ballot. Charles Wooden is going to be a first ballot.
Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson, I don't think is a first ballot.
Nah, it's Calvin
Only
Johnson.
because-
he's got to wait.
Yeah, I think he's got to wait 2
Kinda
or 3.
like
I mean,
Reggie
if
Over
you made
Reggie Wayne?
if you made Terrell Owens wait.
And that's ridiculous. That's a
No,
conversation.
that was going to be my point.
I'm not out of himself.
I'm
like-
laughing just because how serious you said
No,
that. If you make
Terrell
Terrell,
Owens,
They
like,
can't,
come on,
they
yo.
can't mess
I
this
don't
one up.
listen.
When T.O. retired, he was top 2 or 3 in every single receiving
Calvin
category.
hasn't even hit 10,000.
Exactly. Like, I'm sorry.
it's 'cause
Like,
he
he had a
left out
good-
Reggie.
honestly,
what-
Calvin might
left
not
out
make it in the first 3 ballots that he's on.
Honestly, Calvin had what, a good 6-year stretch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but-
T.O.
But players have
listen,
gotten in
You're
for
saying
less.
that like that's
TD. Terrell Davis got in for less.
Yeah, I know, but
Listen.
it's also the MVPs and the Super Bowl.
like I said, the
That
two
kinda,
guarantees for
embellishes.
me, the 2 guarantees of Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson. I think those are, without question, the first ballot Hall of Famers. I mean, Peyton
Yeah,
Manning
for
is
sure,
the
for
epitome
sure.
of what you want in a quarterback. Charles Woodson is arguably a top 3 cornerback all time. I mean, some people have him as number 1, right? So listen, those are the 2
I'd see
locks
those
for me.
people.
Like I said, as a fan, I loved Alan Faneca, and I think he was phenomenal. So I would love to see him go on.
As much
Like
as-
The fact
Yeah,
that
that's
John
just me.
Lynch isn't in surprises me, especially
John
if
Lynch,
GM
see,
with what
because
he's been
John
able to
Lynch,
accomplish.
I've told with John Lynch, great player. I loved watching him, but he could not cover.
Yeah.
He was just a
I mean,
banger.
and you got to think about
I
the
mean,
era that he was in. You
exactly.
also got
It's a
you got Ed Reed, you got Troy Polamalu, you got
Exactly.
Brian
Sean
Dawkins.
Taylor.
Yeah. So like he was in that top 5, but like he was at number 5.
Yeah, like he was
Mhm.
doing what he was supposed to, but you don't typically ask your safety to cover. Like
That's not true, man, because the safety is the last line of defense.
You don't ask Jamal
now-
Adams to cover. Look what he does.
Again, so now it's become a more
Jamal
Adams
it's
is
become
different.
more of a
But also
hybrid.
he can't
No,
cover.
It's
Jamal
become more
Adams
of a
is just a
hybrid
linebacker.
position, but
he's just
it's
a big ball
also
player.
we also got to remember it's 2 different safety positions. So it's free safety and strong
And strong
safety.
safety, yeah.
John Lynch was a strong safety, so he wasn't asked to cover as much. But it's still a part of your job because even at strong safety or free safety, the first thing they tell you, and I play both positions, the first thing they tell you, you are the last line of defense. Nobody's allowed to get behind you. You have to be able to get back there and cover, and John Lynch wasn't good at that. Not to say that he was, horrible in every other aspect of the game, because every other aspect he was phenomenal. It was just that one glaring issue, and so for me, I don't see him being obviously first ballot. I think this is his 2nd time on the ballot
Yeah.
now. So if he gets in this time, I wouldn't be mad, but I think he should wait 1 more year as well. That's just my personal
He
opinion.
was definitely one of the main cogs in the machine in that 2002
Oh, sure.
Bucks defense.
Oh,
With
sure.
Simeon Rice, Warren Sapp, and Derek Brooks. And
Yeah,
Rondé
without
Barber.
question.
Yeah.
But that was another thing.
Rondé
That
Barber's
was
on the
another
list
reason
too,
he
because
didn't
he
have to
deserves
cover
it.
as much, and because of those guys up front, it was like I can just stand like across the middle.
Oh, by the way, just a little side note. I hate Donovan McNabb because the only image that I have of Rondé Barber is that pick 6 of that 2002.
Rondé Barber is another guarantee for me.
Is it?
he was
He
nice.
would be for
He
me.
was definitely
Rondé, you got to remember, Rondé Barber ran a 4.8.
Yeah.
He was not a fast corner, but Rondé Barber was considered shut down. Why? His technique was flawless. I think from a technique standpoint, he's in my top 3 of corners all time.
Does anyone think
From
that Joey
technique.
Tiki would ever have a chance?
No.
Nah.
At some point,
He
they
retired. He
I
retired.
was
I,
like,
I
somebody
was about
like
to say that to
20,
bring some Tiki
25
Barber here
years,
because I don't like
he might
Tiki
think
Barber
on
at
the ballot,
all.
but he probably won't get in.
At some point, they're gonna let everybody in.
I mean, but yeah, for me,
Like
man,
Johnny
like
Manziel.
Ronnie Barber wasn't one of the reasons I wanted to play for him. He's one of the reasons. I was like, this dude is so fluid. He's not fast. He wasn't a big guy. He was just smooth. Everything about his game was just fluid and technically sound. And it was like, yeah, this guy runs a 4.3, but he's not getting past Rondé. Why? His technique was just impeccable. I love it.
Yeah, man, that press. Oh, quick side note: Ronnie Barber or Ty Law?
As far as what? Who's better?
Yeah,
All around games, Ty Law.
Yeah.
All around game,
Yeah.
Ty Law. But you're talking about, if they're talking about specifics, Ronnie's press was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, his technique was flawless. So I would, and from those two aspects, I would go Ronnie Barber from all around game, because Ronnie wasn't the best in zone because of the fact that he wasn't extremely fast. Ty Law, I mean, he could play zone, he could play man, he could play press, not as well as Rondé, but he could play press. He could, yeah, I mean, and he had better hands.
yeah. So if you're running the press game, Rondé. If you're running zone, Ty
For
Law.
sure. Easy.
Speaking of premier DBs, Minka Fitzpatrick for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, is another key in the playoffs. Want to jump back into it.
Okay, let's see this.
And all right, and let's go
I
to the
love
next
Minka.
matchup.
Huh?
Next matchup.
Next matchup.
Wait, did you give your pick? Mark, did you give
Pittsburgh.
Okay, all right.
So Pittsburgh,
I just wanna make
Pittsburgh,
sure
Pittsburgh,
I love you.
Cleveland.
Cleveland. So we
Yeah,
got 3
I've
to
been
1.
rocking with Pittsburgh all year, so I ain't gonna switch up now.
I don't like Pittsburgh. I don't like this pick, but I feel like I have to. I just feel like it has
They'll
to
be out.
And that, like I said, my head says Pittsburgh, my heart says for some reason.
They'll be out of the next round anyway. So
No.
Man,
man. All right, next game, which I think is a bitter one that I really can't wait for. Ravens versus Titans, man.
This is it, baby.
I'm
revenge.
excited.
You know,
The
Derek, okay,
revenge
I
of
just have a
all
poll.
revenges.
I just want to have a poll going. Who's going to be the next Ravens defender that Derek Henry turns into a blocker for him?
Marcus
Wanna know.
Peters.
Marcus Peters.
Marcus Peters is not going to be on the field if Derrick Henry's running that. He's going to run off the field. Like, I can see if they run the toss to Marcus Peters' side, he's going to twist his ankle and run to the sideline. I don't know.
I have mine.
Marcus Peters
I have my Patrick Queen's going to be my pick for that one.
Marcus Peters didn't want to tackle Kareem Hunt. What makes you think he's going to want to tackle Derrick Henry? Like,
now Derrick
come on,
Henry will
man.
just run to the sidelines. He's
You know
like,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
He's like,
stop it.
now Derrick Henry was probably just like, yo, come here.
Literally.
Like he's
He'll pull him off
He's
the
son
side.
Josh
Like,
Norman. He's son. I don't know what the name of the corner for the Lions was.
I can't remember.
Maybe
It doesn't
Yeah, it
matter.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
All
But
I know is he took him off his feet. I'm sorry, as an NFL football player, there's a couple things that you're not allowed to do. You're not if you're a corner, right? You're not allowed to touch earth. I'm sorry, no person is allowed to cross you up to make your hand touch the ground. You're supposed to be nimble and light on your feet. If you get crossed up like you're in a basketball game, to me,
Like
your
Chris
feet are horrible. You should not touch earth. That's number one. Number two, I don't care who it is. You should not get stiff armed off your feet. Stiff arm to the ground, one thing. Okay, cool. You got your helmet pushed into the ground, pushing to the ground. Cool. You're lighter typically than most running backs in the NFL. But lift it up off your feet as a grown man.
Especially if you
Absolutely.
work out every day.
Listen.
Like, what are you working out for?
Do you know that one of the requirements that used to be in the NFL for most corners in the NFL is that you had to be able to bench 300 pounds? So to me, like you said, you're lifting weights. I don't
how's that not a
care.
requirement?
You're not allowed to get lifted off your feet. And then number three. This is just my personal opinion because it's never happened to me. And it would never happen to me. You're not allowed to get mossed. I know that people will be like, what? But receivers are listen. I've never gotten mossed. And I don't think any NFL corner should get mossed. I just don't think it should happen.
But if it was against Randy Moss, would you be okay with that?
No, absolutely not. The reason, again, you got to remember the guys that I idolize at corner. I never saw Rondé Barber get mossed. I never saw Deion Sanders get mossed. I never saw guys like Richard Sherman get mossed. Right? These are the guys
They
that
sure
I
get smoked though.
Yeah, they get. I'm okay with you getting smoked.
Getting smoked and getting mossed.
Because here's the reason.
Can't
Like,
stop
honestly,
speed.
I was gonna say, getting smoked is a result typically of either one of two things. Either he's actually just faster than you, or your technique was off that play, right? So you were looking in the backfield, you tripped, something like that. That's the reason. Getting mossed, listen, that is the most, to me, that's the most embarrassing thing that happened in football. I'd rather get stiff armed off my feet than get mossed.
And with Derrick Henry, you could possibly have both kids.
Exactly.
Because
Listen,
the dude's a
oh
freaking
my
nature.
God.
What is he, 6'3", 220?
Oh.
A running back's not supposed to be built
Not
like that.
220. He's 250 pounds.
250.
He's a linebacker.
He's
He's a
my
linebacker
weight
player.
and 3 inches taller than me, and
Huge,
he
man.
probably
And
bench press the
And he
cow
runs
and
a
the fuck to go.
4.5.
And he probably has like 2% body fat.
He's ridiculous.
But,
I mean,
and that's the point. With a guy like Derrick Henry, you can't stop him.
Good
He ran
gracious.
250 yards to cross the 2,000-yard mark
he's
out of
the
short
new age.
force
He's
of
the new
will.
age Brandon Jacobs. I'll never forget when the Patriots were playing.
Yeah, but he has more heart than Brandon Jacobs.
Yeah, for sure. But they when the Patriots were playing the Giants,
Yeah.
they did a graphic. Brandon Jacobs, outside of Vince Wilfork, Brandon Jacobs was the biggest guy on the field. Outside of Vince freaking Wilfork, who was 340 pounds.
All right, so it sounds like
That's
we're going
Derrick Henry.
Tennessee.
No, nah. I mean,
I'll go first. I'm
Okay,
going
all right.
Baltimore.
I'll give it
And
all
the
this
main reason why Tennessee's defense is absolutely atrocious.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Think about it though, because like first off, you got smoked in the snow at Lambeau. Then you got your
I mean,
butts
but
handed to
again,
you
they're
by the
17.
Houston Texans.
But
But
that's-
hold the third overall
Deshaun
pick.
Watson is not a slouch.
But it's only Deshaun Watson. Who else is there?
I mean, again, David Johnson had a really
Don't you
really
dare
good,
bring
he
up
had a
David
good
Johnson.
year this year.
That's
He had a good year this year. Brandon Cooks is still a burner.
No, the
I
thing is,
mean,
there's nothing that Tennessee's defense does well. They don't rush the
and I
passer.
agree.
No, they don't rush the passer. They can't
But
stop
I'm
the
just-
run. And
it was
the
just the
corner
Deshaun
second has
Watson.
none to right
that's
hold.
fine. They brought in two quote unquote pass rushers to try to fortify that front seven. And now they're
David
one's
Clowney's
injured,
not
the
a
other's
pass
gone.
rusher.
Neither was Vic Beasley. And look what happened
Yeah,
there.
nah. And listen, thank you, Tennessee. Appreciate you a lot for that one because Vic was booty cheeks. I'm sorry.
Except for that 1 year.
I'm
Listen,
gonna
that wasn't
Vic
because of him. That was
Beasley.
because of Dwight Freeney.
Vic Beasley was a harder working Albert Hainsworth. That's what I like to say.
Ooh.
No.
I think Albert might have been better.
I
I
mean,
can't
when you
stand
lay
it.
down and you're just watching Michael Vick run away, I don't see
Listen,
how.
I'm sorry.
At least Vic Beasley would have had the decency to at least jog over.
See,
to
because
him.
here's the thing.
All right.
Vic Beasley has come out of his mouth and said, I don't have any moves. I don't have it.
All right, so real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to go Baltimore.
Baltimore?
Tennessee.
Okay.
Tennessee
All right, 2-2. Last, but certainly not least, probably the game of the week.
Bills versus Colts. And guys, yeah, I mean, this might be it for Philip Rivers, man. I mean, like he said that if the Colts don't re-sign him, he might retire.
He got them kids. He can't.
Yeah, man.
I mean, he can because here's the thing. There's, I believe, 4 reported news stations that want him to come in as an announcer after he retires. So he's still going to be.
Oh my god, I don't
They
want
wanted-
to hear.
They
Phil
wanted
Rivers.
to. They want him to be quote the new Tony Romo.
I want a big dick.
I'm good on that.
That's not going to be Philip Rivers.
I don't know.
I would love to hear Philip because here's the thing. I love hearing Philip Rivers interviews and his post game conference because he's a very articulate individual. I don't like him as a player, you know what I mean. But as like somebody who's a commentator, I probably wouldn't mind Philip Rivers.
Okay, so Bills.
Oh yeah, Bills, of course. It's a no-brainer. Bills
Is
is the
it?
hottest team in the NFL right now.
Is it?
And that
they
defense-
are-
and that
they
defense
are
is slowly
6-0
starting
in
to
their
pick
last
up.
6 games.
And the
Colts are
defense
4-2.
has slowly started to pick up over the last couple of weeks.
This is true. I mean, the Colts are 4-2 in the last 6 games. The Bills are 6-0. I think just with what's going on right now, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Bills as well, only because I do stuff on Diggs, man. I picked Travis Kelce to win the receiving yards this year, but only because I saw the 3 matchups that Stephon Diggs would have to potentially go up against at the end of the year, and Stephon Diggs blew it out the water.
Yeah,
He was like, I don't care who you put in front of me.
we also
I'm
got-
getting 140 yards.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, this guy he's legit. And so I think I'm going to go Bills too.
Colts with the upset.
Colts with the upset.
Oh, there it is.
Is it just because it has great defense?
Man,
that they
man,
have?
man.
Hashtag.
He
Are
misses
you-
Frank Wright. That's all.
No.
Ouch.
No,
I mean, we
No,
got a
great-
Rutgers
no.
guy at the front 7 that's amazing.
no,
Kabuki
great
Torres.
And
offense.
shout out to Darius Leonard, HBCU.
Great offensive
Yeah,
line.
Brian
Quentin Nelson,
Gainey.
Ryan Kelly, Anthony Casazzo, and not to mention Jonathan Taylor nearly had 200 yards
He's been
rushing.
great, yeah.
So here's the thing: like in the postseason, I trust Frank Wright to draw up a good game plan to keep pace with the Bills' offense.
I asked this question for the NFC, not the AFC. Is there any team here that the Chiefs should be afraid of?
The Bills.
The Bills.
And the Titans, to be honest.
I said that a couple weeks ago.
I'll say and the Titans.
Definitely Tennessee.
Because you got to remember, they can slow the game down.
They can.
Yeah.
So,
And
I would actually
their
do-
offense ain't slouch.
exactly. So
Don't
just
wide receivers.
I would
sleep on
actually,
Tennessee,
like,
man.
for me, it's either Buffalo, obviously, or Baltimore. Because
Nah,
Baltimore.
nah,
No, let
not
me explain why. Because like
Did
earlier,
you see what they did to Baltimore?
that was in week 3 though. Baltimore's changed back to what they were originally supposed to be, which was a run option.
They didn't have
Until
choice.
Lamar can show me that he can play in the big games. Actually, I'm changing my pick. I'm actually picking the Titans now.
Ooh.
Until Lamar can show me that he can play in the big games, I'm picking the Titans.
So much
Until
pressure
you-
on a
listen.
third-year player.
Because my thing is this: as good as Lamar is, you've got to show up in those moments, dude.
And you know what?
Patrick shows up in those moments.
And you know what's one thing? I've had this debate with a bunch of Ravens fans already. I think because I've always said that the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens who needs to
Greg Roman.
Greg Roman. I've always said
Phenomenal.
he's a great head coach candidate, and I've had the same response from every single Ravens fan: stay away from my offensive coordinator. And I've always said back. So you're telling me that Lamar's a system quarterback because if you can't work in a system
Every
outside
quarterback is a system. There's only been 3 quarterbacks in the NFL history, in my opinion, that I could say are not system quarterbacks. Only 3.
but then
Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Brett Favre.
But what I'm trying to say is like,
You
can
trying to
put
prove the
Tom
point, like
Brady
if
in
you
there
take
now.
Greg Roman out of
You know Tom Brady.
Baltimore,
No, because Tom is literally playing his offense in Tampa Bay. It's sprinkled. Watch. It's just sprinkled with Bruce Arians. So he'll throw it deep.
And you also
here,
got to
but
think
he
about the
just-
amount of
he
talent
dunks.
that he also not only
Exactly.
came into, but also recruited as well.
Exactly.
Oh, I
He's
respect that,
every
but-
quarterback in the NFL is a system.
let me ask you: take Greg Roman out of
And
Baltimore,
maybe
next
Russell
year.
Wilson.
Like take Greg Roman out of Baltimore next year. Is Lamar Jackson still like going to be able to succeed at the level that he has?
Yes.
But see, here's my question about the whole system thing. Aren't you supposed to coach to your players'
Of
strengths?
course.
So it's like wherever he goes at the end of
He's
the day,
going
the
to-
smart
exactly.
thing to do
It's play
is to
his strength.
Unless it's
utilize
Adam
him.
Gase.
And
And that's why I say I don't think it matters what offensive coordinator, because also you got to remember Lamar is going to do Lamar. Period. Like we forget that Lamar ran a pro style offense at Louisville. It's not like he didn't do that.
Yeah.
He's used to running an NFL style offense, right? So he can do everything that you're asking for. It's just Greg Roman was like, well, I'm not asking you for that. I'm going to highlight what you do well.
Yeah. But
Okay,
to,
cool. But you put him with a guy like Bieniemy or somebody like that. He's still going to thrive.
Yeah, but to roundabout it, back to the Chiefs. Like I saw like a great video by Brett Coleman. He was like, the Chiefs offense, they're home run hitters, but they strike out a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So
Yes.
like my
I
thing
saw
is
that
is
video,
that
yeah.
you gotta
And that's why the Titans could be a team.
Yeah.
And
But-
definitely the Bills.
Yeah, but like the reason why I can't say the Titans is like you gotta have a defense, you gotta have a respectable defense to at least hold, try to
Again, but if you keep Patrick Mahomes off the field with Derrick Henry chugging 5 yards a
They
carry,
tried doing that last year with a much better, in my opinion, a much better defense, and it just didn't work. They took Derrick Henry out of the game and forced Ryan Tannehill to try to beat
Not to
you.
mention
This-
Henry
but
ran
this
only
ain't the
66
same-
yards.
yeah,
tonight.
this ain't the
This
same
ain't the
Ryan
same
Tannehill,
offense,
yeah.
and this ain't the same Ryan Tannehill,
One thing I said earlier.
and
this
this
year-
ain't the same AJ Brown or Corey Bit, because them jokers had a year.
Yeah,
One thing
yeah.
I said
Oh,
earlier
yeah,
this year
AJ Brown,
about-
a grown man. As much as we talk about DK Metcalf, we gotta talk about that.
Oh,
about
AJ Brown is
For
better than
sure.
DJ, in my opinion.
That's debatable.
One thing I said earlier this year that I still hold true to my beliefs about the Kansas City Chiefs. This team is built for blowouts. Right? It is built for high shooting, high stakes
Yes.
games. You want a 70-yard touchdown with only 3 seconds left in the game? Mahomes will get that to you.
Yes.
You need 90 yards with only 2 seconds? Mahomes will get that to you. Because
Mahomes
Patrick
the first
Mahomes-
half of the season, but as of late, he's been a bit pedestrian. That's why he's not going to win the MVP. So I mean, it's all
I
about
never,
how you're
I
rolling
never
into
thought he
the
was gonna,
playoffs.
I never thought he was going to win
Yeah,
the
but
MVP
at the
in
same
first
time,
place.
it's like in January you gotta know you gotta run the football, regardless of
And the
how-
Chiefs don't do that.
Especially because they lost.
Here's the
Clyde
thing: the
Edwards-Helaire,
Chiefs
and
don't. I
Le'Veon
don't
Bell's
think it's
not
a
that great.
situation that the Chiefs can't, though.
Oh no,
I think they just don't.
they
They're
don't.
like,
Yeah,
we're
no,
just
they
gonna-
definitely can. They. Just
I
don't.
was gonna say, I honestly think Andy Reid was smart. He's like, we're going to preserve you, Clyde, for the playoffs because we know that you can tote the rock. And everybody thought, oh, this guy is too small. Yet this dude is bopping people. So I think it's a situation where he's like, we're going to preserve you for that game against the team that we need to run the football against. Against the Steelers, we're going to air it out. Against the Ravens, we're going to air it out. But against a team like the Titans, where we might have to really play a football game,
Yeah.
we're gonna run the ball.
Same
Against
thing
the
with
Bills,
Buffalo,
where it's
yeah.
like
Yeah, same thing
we
with
might have to
Buffalo.
play a football game. So
Right.
we're
Against the
gonna- and so
Colts,
we- I
well, you
think they
forgot the
preserve-
Colts and the Browns if they even make it.
Yeah, the Browns too. Yeah, they're a threat to the Chiefs. They are, for sure.
Well, we already said
I
the
don't
Browns
know
weren't
about the
making
Colts.
it out.
I don't know about the Colts.
Any given Sunday.
I don't trust Philip Rivers.
So in the end, Super Bowl picks.
I don't have mine yet.
I'm
Can we
going.
do that after this week?
I'm
I
going
don't have
Chiefs.
mine yet.
I'm going that the Chiefs are guaranteed. They're my lock from the AFC. the two teams in like I said, the NFC to me are either the Saints or the Packers. I don't see anybody beat the Packers right now, so I'll just go on a limb and say it right now. It's going to be a Chiefs-Packers.
All right. Yeah, I agree.
That's
State
all
Farm.
Chris wanted to hear.
Yeah, State
He set you up for
State
that.
Farm Super Bowl. In 2009, we got robbed of Kobe versus LeBron. I want to see Mahomes versus Rodgers.
I'm gonna go Bills versus Packers.
Ooh,
And I'm gonna say
I
it's
like
the
that.
battle of the MVP candidates because Josh Allen, you can't tell me he's not an
Oh no,
MVP
he's definitely
this year.
All right,
And like it's basically like we all want to see Mahomes versus Rodgers. Yeah, that's great, but I want to see.
I want
wanna
to see Derrick
so much
Henry
better.
win the MVP.
Listen,
that
That's
ain't gonna happen.
It's not going to happen.
That's
but
my
what I
guy,
would-
too,
I
but
would
that ain't
love
gonna
to see him do it.
whether it's Mahomes or Josh Allen, listen, either way, Rodgers is going to be waiting on the other side.
All I want for Christmas, Santa, and I know it's January, but I'm still calling for it. All I want for Christmas is a QB battle in the Super Bowl.
I mean, it'll be interesting.
I'm
to see.
going Bills, and I'm still unsure about my NFC pick because I'm conflicted between Green
Just pick-
Bay
Right,
and
man.
Seattle.
It's
I'm
tough.
really conflicted.
Listen, just go with
You
your
can't
second
sell
team.
me.
That's why I said
Listen,
I
just
need
go
until
with
next week.
Just go with your second team, man. You're a Seahawks fan.
I know, right?
You are a Seahawks fan?
No,
I picked
bandwagon.
them up like earlier this year when the Eagles were terrible. We got this
Alright,
coach that.
Hey.
Yeah, anywho.
Anyway,
Also, just a quick question: will Russell Wilson ever win an MVP?
Hold on, let me finish.
Or get an MVP vote in his life?
No.
Yes.
Hold on.
oh no,
I'm
not
going-
this year. No.
Yes.
Hold on. I'm gonna go Bills and Green Bay. I'm gonna go Bills and Green Bay because I really like what Green Bay has been doing as of late. Aaron Rodgers he's been hot. I mean, putting up 48 touchdowns. That's 5th all time in one season. That ties Dan Marino, and he did it at the age of 36. So I mean, Aaron Rodgers is still
First
rolling.
quarterback in NFL history to have 3 40 touchdown seasons.
Yep.
If
Yes.
Rodgers wins the Super Bowl this year, does he retire?
He's not gonna win
No,
the Super Bowl.
no, of
You're going
course
too
not.
far.
If he does,
You're
I'm
going
saying
too far.
Listen,
If.
don't put that in the air. I don't need that.
He's not even gonna win the Super Bowl now. That's going really far.
Oh, really?
But watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Ah,
It's
man,
going too
come
far.
on. You really don't think that?
Here's the reason that the Chiefs are making it over the Bills. There's one man. And his name is not Patrick Mahomes.
Tyron
His name
Matthew.
is not Tyreek Hill.
Is it Travis Kelce?
His name is Travis.
There you go.
There's no team in the NFL right now that can guard Travis Kelce. And that's the wild card. I keep trying to tell people, yes, you can bracket Tyreek Hill all you want, cool. But you still got Sammy Watkins running the under routes and the over routes. And then that leaves you one-on-one with Tyreek Hill. And the only person, Travis Kelce, and the only person in the NFL, the only safety, I should say, in the NFL, that can cover him, to me, is on his team.
Tyron Matthew.
Tyrann Mathieu.
What
And
about
then,
what about a healthy Derwin James?
well, Derwin James is not playing. So that's the reason
I mean,
you know.
looking
And
at
then the only linebacker, I believe, is not. First off, he's in the NFC, and he's not in the playoffs. Deion Jones. So I don't see anybody guarding Travis Kelce.
you're disrespecting a lot of good safeties here in the AFC. Jordan Poyer,
Nope.
Micah
Nope.
Hyde, Micah
Nope.
Fitzpatrick.
Nope. None of them can guard Travis.
Not Minka? Wow.
No.
Not Micah?
They're good. Listen, they're good, but they cannot guard Travis consistently.
All right.
The only one, like I said, that can do it consistently is Tyron, and maybe, like you said, Derwin James, but he's not playing. So, to me, and here's the reason, and I say this because I play the position, so it's tough for me when I see safeties that can't cover. And so that's why I look at guys like Tyrann Mathieu and Derwin James, and there's nobody close to them because they can actually do that as well. It's not just I can either cover or hit. It's I can do everything you want.
What about,
Those are to me those are the top guys.
what about
And
the rookie safety down in Carolina?
no,
Really?
maybe okay.
Jeremy Chin?
Maybe Justin from the Broncos.
Justin Simmons.
Justin Simmons. Maybe him. Maybe.
So
Okay,
it
but I
can
gotta
only
see
be a safety
But I gotta
that
see-
plays him 2 times a year.
I gotta see more film.
So pretty much,
I gotta see
the only 2 safeties that could potentially cover him that's not on the team are both in the division.
Correct.
Oh man.
He's not wrong, but he's not
I
right.
mean, it's not wrong. I mean, the Broncos play, the Chiefs
All right,
tough
I
every
just-
time. It's always a close game.
Like I said,
Anyway.
and why
You know,
is that?
I'll believe that if Jonathan Abrams can somehow do it one day. Now, he can't do it
Jonathan
today.
Williams cannot cover.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
He's another version of Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
He might not be as good.
Anyway,
Sorry.
once again, you're listening to 98.5 WJYN. Listen, Running Back Sports Show, Sports for the Culture. We only have about a little bit over 10 minutes left, and we're finally done with the NFL. So for the remaining of the time, we're going to dive into some NBA action. So
I'm a bucket. It's my boy Tyler Hero.
Oh.
Heat Nation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, can we just talk about this? Steph Curry, back-to-back, amazing performances, 62-point game, and he didn't play a single minute last night against the Kings. Had 39 and 8, nearly a triple-double. If he probably would have got it, would have played the fourth quarter. Can we just all agree that once again, that because finally Steph Curry is playing, he's the best point guard in basketball now?
Yeah, people forget all the time. They're just so recent, and it's funny that the 62 happened against Dame.
Yeah.
Because like everyone was so hype on like Dame Lillard. Don't get me wrong, I like Dame Lillard too, but like don't forget where Dame got that from. Like Dame takes a lot from other point guards in the league,
Yeah.
and you can tell that from his game.
Yeah.
So
I
the
still
shooting,
don't know if Steph's number one though, but
Dame learned to extend his range because of Steph Curry.
Yeah.
You even see Kyrie Irving now extending his range because of Steph
A
Curry.
lot of people always said with Steph Curry, he was
Kyrie would never have that range though because of the shooting.
But he's shooting it now.
He's starting to shoot it, but
Yeah.
again, it'll never be as consistent as Dame and Steph because of the way Steph shoots. It's a push shot, right? It's a push shot.
It's
so
a shot
Kyrie's
puck.
is like a
effortless.
load.
And then
He's not
Damian's is so fluid. It's just like a flick of. It's kind of like the Michael Vick effect. It's just a flick of the wrist, and it gets there. Kyrie's is more. He releases
It's more standard.
here, like out in front of him more so than Steph and Dame, where they kind of release at the top of the.
Y'all know I'm
so.
not much of the basketball guy here, but I will say this: a lot of people always said that Steph Curry always had help whenever it came to his success, whether it was Klay Thompson or the addition of Kevin Durant going forward. But
Not true. But go ahead.
well, I have like read like some reports about that.
Okay.
But either here
No,
or there.
I've read it too. I'm just saying it's not true.
No, yeah.
I don't-
They're
but-
wrong, and here's why.
Yeah, exactly. They're wrong, and here's why: because of what you just said. Steph Curry is just a different animal in and of itself. He ushered in a new age of off the arc shooting
105
basketball.
straight threes.
Yeah, in practice. But I'm saying, and back in 2014, 2015, when he was just on the come up, he issued a new era in shooting in
Yes.
basketball. This is a guy that literally changed the game. We talk about game changers. This guy literally
Yeah.
changed the game as
Easily.
we know it.
Yeah, to be
Easily.
honest, I get so annoyed when people talk about, well, Steph Curry has all these all-stars helping. I'm like, dog, who was checking for Klay Thompson before that NBA Finals?
Period.
Who was checking for Draymond Green before
Period.
they won anybody? I mean,
Like-
who's checking Harrison Barnes? I mean, like,
Unless you watch
I
college
was.
basketball. Other than that,
Oh.
if you didn't,
Tar Heels, go Tar Heels.
Who's checking Danny Green?
and more importantly, like, we all know Andre Iguodala doesn't deserve that Finals MVP. Steph Curry averaged 26, 6, and 4.
Yeah.
Like, come on, that.
All right, so I'm not going to say that
Oh,
Steph
no.
didn't, but I'm not going to say that Andre didn't either. But
Andre got a participation award.
he did. But
Like,
here's my
I mean,
thing.
they had
Listen,
to give it to somebody.
here's
who
the
could, and they
reason
didn't
that
want to give it to
I
somebody.
don't know if I can say that Steph is number one. Right? I'm not saying that he's not.
Okay, so
I'm not-
who's your number one?
I don't. It's between these two guys. It's
Okay.
between Steph and Chris Paul. Chris Paul is still a floor general. He's got the Suns with the best record in the league. Like,
That's
no
right.
matter.
West.
Well, it wasn't the league prior to the last game. But I mean, it doesn't matter where he goes. He wins. Now he doesn't win the big. He hasn't won the championship, right? But it doesn't. I mean, he got Charlotte to the playoffs. He got the Clippers consecutively to the playoffs.
The Pelicans.
He got the Rockets to the playoffs. He got the Pelicans to the playoffs. And now he's got the Suns playing extremely well. I mean, to me,
Not
If-
the Pelicans, OKC.
yeah, the Thunder.
Thunder.
Yeah, Thunder,
The Thunder.
And now he's got the Suns. For me, it's like I just can't see how people disregard or forget about. Again, no, he's not the Chris Paul that was crossing people over and doing all. No, but he's still a floor general that commands respect. I mean, it's ridiculous how he controls a basketball game. And to me, that's what a point guard is supposed to do. You're supposed to be the floor general. You're supposed to control the pace. You're supposed to get your guys involved. You're supposed to elevate your players. And that's what he does everywhere he goes.
See, you bring up a really good point. I'll give you that. But you talk about Chris Paul controlling basketball games.
Yeah.
Steph Curry controls the league. the reason the NBA, the style of basketball is
It's true.
even that what we have is because of Steph Curry.
This is true.
The reason why the centers have to learn how to shoot threes
No, I can
and
respect
either
that. I can respect that.
to have a job is because of Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's
like
real. That's
Steph
real.
Curry is a generational.
Like Juan said, he's changed the game.
He's a generational talent.
Yeah.
Like nobody expected this coming out of Davidson.
He's like Trevor
Like-
Lawrence. No kidding.
Nah, stop with sunshine. But no, like Chris Paul, he's definitely still like one of the top guys for sure.
Yeah.
But like legit, like Steph Curry is the reason why analytics pretty much exist now.
My
in
issue though is
basketball.
this: if I needed one game, I think I might take Chris. Here's the reason:
That's fair. That's
Steph.
fair.
Steph, when it comes down to that final 2 minutes, just look at the numbers. It's not great.
I'll get the reason I say
Chris?
it's fair is because Chris knows how to work that pick and roll where he can manipulate the defense. He'll bring you in. He can get that little mid range.
And that's that's the
get that.
one thing that, and obviously he doesn't need it right now. Steph doesn't need a pick and roll game. But when he gets it, when he gets to a point where he's not running off screens and he's slowing down a little bit and he starts doing the pick and roll thing, that's going to be the most dangerous man. I mean, if he's not already, but that's going to be the most dangerous man on
But
the
that's
planet.
also why, in my
Because now
opinion,
you're like,
he's the best point guard because he can just run everywhere on the floor. Like he doesn't need the ball.
it's also the decisions though, right? It's also the decision making. Chris Paul, you rarely see a bad decision. You see at least 5 to 6 from Steph a game.
Okay.
You rarely see a bad decision from Chris Paul.
Their roles are different though.
Yeah.
Of course,
Chris
and-
Paul
and
isn't
he's
asked-
not asked to do
Yeah.
what Chris Paul is asked to do,
Al-
which is
Also, we're
understandable.
also talking about hamstrings. Give me Steph over.
You talk about ankles, give me Chris over Steph.
That's
I mean, are you sure? I mean, Steph kind of took Chris Paul's ankles.
And then
years
this
Oh.
true, that was a good one.
See what
But
you did there.
defensively, I think Chris Paul is a little bit better as well.
Yeah.
Only because of Steph's lateral quickness being in question because of the thing.
Oh well, Chris Paul is like an all-time defender.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
for sure.
that's not
Yeah,
even,
And so
that's not
that
even a
and so
question.
that's
Yeah,
the
'cause,
reason
like-
why I say like I'm not sure because from an all around game, it's like there's still some slight holes in Steph's game. I don't see any.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris can shoot the three. He can cross you over. He can get to the rim and finish. He can play defense. He can shoot free throws. He can control the game. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's a coach on the sideline. He's all of those things. He's a dog. All those things, and he's great in the clutch
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah,
So,
looking at you guys, I know like y'all are Falcons,
I'm a Falcons.
Hawks fan,
Heat Nation.
Heat fan, Sixers fan.
Yeah.
Y'all have superstars and a good winning culture on your side. I'm just thinking about all the Knicks fans out there who are just
Yeah.
shedding the tear.
Are you a
over
Knicks
the-
fan?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
But
Hey,
The
look,
Knicks have a bright future.
Hey, look,
They have a
they
bright
got
future.
they got a winning record.
But
for
that's
the
what I'm
first
trying to
time
say.
in 7 years.
I'm
They've
just
got a
thinking.
bright
I'm
future.
just thinking of all the Knicks
Lot of
fans
young
out there
talent.
who are just shedding a tear over the fact that they have one game over 500 to be happy about this season.
And they could have drafted Steph Curry.
And they could have, a lot of
Yeah.
teams could have drafted Steph Curry, but they didn't.
No, 5 teams could have.
Okay.
The Timberwolves passed on them
Is
twice.
trading in
Yeah, well-
like not an option? All of them.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't have traded for Steph. You wouldn't have.
Not at that time,
Not at that time.
but hindsight is 2020.
Yes,
Nah,
it is.
in that draft, for real, Steph was like the hottest player, especially
In
after
my
that-
opinion, I
after
agree.
that
I
run
agree.
out of a-
with
out of a-
Jason.
Hold on,
I
hold on.
agree.
What year was that? 09 or
2008
08.
or yeah, I think it was 2008.
It was 08,
We got smart.
Oh,
I think it
it
was.
was
I
08.
think it was
coming out of
08, though.
Davidson.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I mean, to me, it reminded me of Dwayne Wade and Marquette. Like that's the type of run that I got from Steph, and that's what made me a fan of Steph Curry's off rip because those are the type of that's why Dwayne Wade's my favorite player all time.
I'm kind of afraid to ask this, but where the heck did the Magic come from, man? Like
It's
I
not
don't know.
real. It's the season's early.
I mean, they were in the playoffs last year.
No, listen. No, Blake
it was,
Griffin.
it was 09.
Yeah, 09.
Okay.
Blake Griffin was number 1 overall.
And that's what I said. I don't know if Steph would have gotten traded for it. Blake Griffin was probably going to be.
No, Blake Griffin was that guy coming out of Oklahoma.
He was that guy. But here's the thing. It's the typical. It's like the same thing they do with black quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like they say the same things. Like every time, like it comes down to scouting. Oh well, he needs to
Here's a
work on his
serious question.
defense. He needs to work on this. Needs to work on that. Come
Now,
on,
here's
we
the
saw it
question.
coming.
Looking back, who would you have drafted? James Harden or Steph?
It's tough for me.
That's tough, right?
It's very tough for me.
Well, who has the better defense?
Defense don't matter with those two.
They're both slouches, but I would say at their position, Steph.
Then yeah, Steph. Not to
But-
mention with Steph, you can
but
build.
technically, James Harden is a point guard. Technically, and he actually
This
runs
is
the
true.
pick and roll much
Oh,
better
yeah, much better.
than
But
Steph.
also-
and
Much
he
better.
gets more assists than Steph.
But
if we're being
Yeah,
technical.
this is true.
I would
Honestly,
say like
And he scores more.
honestly,
And
like,
he's 6'7".
honestly,
220
even
pounds.
redoing, honestly, even with knowing what I know back in 2009, I'm still picking Blake Griffin number 1 overall.
Yeah, no. Here's the
Like
thing
how
about
you're talking about how it turned out, or
But here's
like
the thing about Blake. Blake is phenomenal right now. I don't think people really understand how Chris Paul has elevated his game. Blake can shoot the 15 to 18-foot jumper now.
Blake
He's
was
knocking
gonna,
down
Blake was
threes.
going to, Blake was on pace to be a superstar. His body
Exactly.
just failed on him.
yeah.
That's all it was.
He's quietly in Detroit averaging 26 and 10. Like, he's not a bad player.
No,
Blake
he's
Griffin
not
is
bad.
still an elite player. It's just the fact that Detroit sucks.
Yeah.
all
They
this,
are
talk, all,
horrible.
all this talk of Blake Griffin is just making me.
You know where I
Trevor
want
Lawrence,
Blake to
man.
go?
Huh?
Sacramento. Could you imagine with Swiper and Buddy Hield? Oh, man.
Buddy Hield is not good. I'm tired.
Buddy
of people
Hield is
talking about that.
okay. Buddy Hield is not. He's not great.
You
No.
gotta watch the game.
But
if he was
I
in
can see
Philly,
it's a
we would
potential
dog
thing.
him.
It's a potential thing.
We dog
For me,
everybody.
when it
so
comes
man.
to Buddy Hield. It's like if you allow Buddy Hield can be like year 7, you be like, oh, there it is. He finally unlocked it. Or he could be a John Ross, where it's like, yo, John Ross, you were supposed to be dumb nice. What happened? So it's like, you know, it could be it could be one of those things, you know. So I think Buddy Hield can be a very good 6-man though. I think he's being
maybe on a championship team.
exactly. Yeah, I think he's just a
I have a
6-man.
friend of mine.
Free
that-
Marvin Bagley.
I have a friend of mine that works at NBC6 Sports here in Philly. He sends me all these article recaps that he has of the Sixers, and from what I've been reading or what he selects me to read, the Sixers aren't doing too bad this year. It seems, even
They
though
just
they,
only have the best.
They're
record
never
in the
doing
NBA.
too bad.
Yeah.
yeah, but didn't they get blown up by the
But we'll talk
Cavaliers
about
or
that
something?
next week. They're
Yeah.
the best team in the
Yeah,
best record.
unfortunately, we're out of time. We're at the 7 o'clock mark. And I just want to thank you, Avery and Juan, once again for stepping in the
Appreciate
studio,
y'all.
talking to some
It's a pleasure.
talking some NFL, some playoff action. And once again, you got Chris Thomas.
Mark Thompson.
Unfortunately, Carmen will definitely be back next week. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to 98.5 WJYN, the Running Back Radio Show, Sports for the Culture. Until next time, see you.
Peace.
All right, you guys can curse now. Turned off the mic.
That's right. The reason I winked earlier is
So
because
you
I
turn off
almost
the
said
YouTube?
piss when I said like get mad
You
at.
should have showed me that list earlier. I'm like, oh snap!
Don't worry, press the dump
That's
button.
easy.
I didn't know you can.